that only 6 political parties, including the NNPP, the ZLP, Accord Party, NRPM, AAC, and AA are participating in the election. The CANSEC chairman insisted that the commission is conducting its activities within the bounds of the law. Well, it's an interesting one.
Indeed.
What do you think on this before we move on?
Oh, as usual, I normally like to sit down and watch how things unfold, especially when it comes to politics in Nigeria. So let's just sit back and watch how things actually unfold.
Well, no problem. Coming up next is the newspaper headlines and review. Do stick around.
It's still a new day on Signature Television, so thank you so much for still staying with us. Don't forget to go back to our social media handles at Signature Television Official on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Welcome to Newspaper Review and Headlines. If you've missed out on some of our discussions in the course of the week, well, you're in luck because we're going to be giving you highlights on them, and of course we're going to be reading out and discussing some of the stories that have been making the rounds across Nigerian dailies. First up,
we'll be moving
Vanguard.
to the Vanguard.
Yes.
And just above the mast we have why Nigeria will continue to import petrol coming from investigation. You can find this on the page 8.
And still on Vanguard, just above the mast, Falana demands reassignment of Rivers Assembly case to Port Harcourt.
And just below the mast we have World Bank to Nigeria, NYSE your gold mine, leverage on it from industrialization.
And Chuks Iluegbunam to Gowan, only truth shall make Nigeria free.
How I was sold into slavery after the gods rejected me for sacrifice. You can find this on the page 15.
Igbos easily subdued at home these days on page 12 from Saturday Vanguard with the writer how viral video from unknown face shot. I'll take that again. How viral video from unknown face shut down Southeast for 2 days.
Ondo Guba, Makinde and others.
All right, and finally, on the Saturday Vanguard, 8.6 million Lagos residents hypertensive, 3.5 million obese coming from the government, found on page 6 of the Saturday Vanguard.
And moving over to the Saturday Punch, just below the mast, we have crashed helicopter with the riders, families, friends, mourn deceased NNPC workers.
And for important stories, just beside the Saturday Punch mast, spin doctors, entertainers who have Nigerian stunned beggars as biting hunger ravages communities, and helicopter sale reps panel indict ex-aviation minister Sirika.
Banditry allegation, how Matawali survived cabinet reshuffle and to arrive.
And on Weekend Trust, just below the mast, how traders' invasion obstructs learning at 84-year-old school on page 16.
What Tinubu must do to fix failing policies, coming from Bala Mohammed. And with the riders, why not problem? Wike after Atiku's snub, but with parted ways. President, FCT minister behind PDP crisis. Amazing. I'm still undecided about 2027 presidency.
Why you say why the pause here? It's as if
it
it's
was,
something you wanted to say and someone,
yes.
someone has actually come out to say it for you.
And I'm going to wait for that person to continue that conversation today.
Absolutely. So, Kano to go ahead with local government poll today on page 29 and then on page 43. We didn't ask Tinubu to remove subsidy from PMS coming from IMF. Interesting.
Interesting headlines today. Tinubu, Akpabio, Abbas, Barrow, Atiku, governors attend Senator Gojei's daughter's wedding.
And finally, on the Weekend Trust, I don't own a house in Abuja, coming from former FCT Minister Muhammad Abagana on page 21. And despite several contract awards, Jos Saminaka Road remains deplorable on page 12.
Reforms. This is coming from the Guardian Weekend. Rising inflation and petrol costs.
There you
Very interesting, but we just want to see.
Let's keep that in the freezer. We'll get to it.
And you can find this on the page 8 and 9. Fear of implementation as rollout of new basic education curriculum on the way.
And finally, on The Guardian, Oralusi commends creation of Regional Development Ministry. And
moving over to the Saturday Independent, we have a very disheartening and scary one here. We have how core member mysteriously disappeared in Rivers. With the rider, police intensify search, question suspects.
And two other news stories just above the Saturday Independent mast. And IPOD members form political wing seek end to violence on page 5 of the Saturday.
It may not meet October deadline, with the rider 15 states yet to pay 30,000 naira as at February 2024. Coming from CSO, bureaucracy, lack of structure, delay payment in some states. Coming from federal civil servants. New wage, a tall dream for private sector, coming from industrialists. And finally, we have expert warns of worse spiraling inflation at
The best of me is gone, says Mike Dada at a wife's burial, with a rider Mbudupe was to complete her PhD in 2 months. Coming from AFRMA boss.
Well, 8.6 million Lagos residents diagnosed with high blood pressure. 3.5 million with obesity. You can find this on the page 3, and this is coming from the Health Commissioner with the rider government to conduct free screening for 800,000 people.
And finally, on the Saturday Independent, Timmy Frank condemns scrapping of Niger Delta Ministry and seeks reversal.
Moving over to this day, just below the mast, we have Jonathan. Losing 2015 election was an emotional moment, where the rider says he felt as if the whole world was against him.
And above this day mast, weakening purchasing power pushes preference for second-hand goods, with riders. Nigeria's high out-of-school children worries World Bank. IMF says reforms causing hardship, but necessary for sustainable growth.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on this yet. So federal government launches Export Skills Acquisition Center to boost non-oil exports.
And finally, on this day, Dangote Refinery ships first petrol cargo by sea to Lagos.
Moving over to the Saturday Tribune, just below the mast, local government election, battle of courts in Kano, where the rider State High Court gives go-ahead for today's poll. APC kicks, police vow to enforce peace.
And above the Saturday Tribune mass, Olubadan raises alarm over increasing number of Almajiri out-of-school children found on page 2. And Tinubu cannot pauperize or take all the taxes and still not be responsible for anything. This is coming from Adebayo, an ex-SDP presidential candidate, found on page 13 of the Saturday Tribune.
And hardship. On page 8, Kwashoko back in Nigeria. Experts raise alarm.
Okay, still on the Saturday Tribune, Yoruba Group asks Obasanjo to support Tinubu with a rider. Nigerian president has no plan, says ex-president. All right.
Ondo Governor pool, we have Governor Makinde, Southwest PDP leaders receive defectors from APC, SDP, and others.
And finally, on the Saturday Tribune, court remands Ondo man for macheting wife to death on page 3.
Wow.
That's on a very sad note.
And that is all on the newspaper headlines today. We'll be moving over to the newspaper review, and in the studio with us to do this is Chris Maduka. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Joshua.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
I know
Chigi.
where you are. Yes, you almost called.
Yeah, Chigi. I am emphasizing Chigi. Chigi, yes, Chigi. I have not forgotten.
Looking good as usual with your eagle feather, your traditional Igbo heart. You're the epitome of the traditional Igbo man. And I'm thinking, what of these days we'll get the Oja players to be playing Oja behind you as you're walking.
It would be so nice.
Yes, it deserves.
In African proverb says, you don't have water in your mouth to blow the fire.
Okay.
So even to play the flute, you need the food in your stomach.
You need energy.
Because they say the man who plays the flute has the liberty to also to wipe out his nose, to wipe his nose. So you don't engage a flute player when Nigeria is suffering hardship and hunger. So
yeah, I get where you're
so let's solve the first problem. Once we are out of hunger and hardship, we can go back to the old days where even some state governors have flute players who wake them up in the morning, and the band boys who play for breakfast. They have people who play for afternoon lunch, and the ones who send them to sleep with music and all fanfare.
Yeah.
So, but we are losing so many of these things to hunger and hardship.
Talking about hunger and hardship, IMF has come out to say it is not our fault, though. The harsh economy and economic policies is not our fault. Joshua, if you could help me find out the national daily that
we don't know.
What are your thoughts?
So whose fault? Now,
exactly my thoughts.
You know why I'm laughing? We said, once you have agreed to befriend a woman who has broken back, you will share with the responsibility of carrying her up and down. IMF, World Bank, you guys have offered to be chief advisors of Nigerian economic system. You can't come at this time to deny anything. You are complicit. As far as I'm concerned, you give advice with one mouth, you take 1 million with your... I don't understand. When it's getting bad, you tell us so. But it's very clear, the government have one way or the other said, they're following you. And you've come out to tell us our president's policy will mature in 15 years. I mean, if you don't know about this, if you don't know about the plan, what do you know? If you know the plan, you know when it will mature. So what have you advised? Let them come out and tell us what they have advised. Take it on the one side, what you have advised Nigerian government to do, minus it from what you didn't advise them. Put it in the public domain.
Let's know what to think.
So all these, today you hear this, that you will not remove them from the being complicit of Nigerian situation.
In addition to that, you're talking about the advice that they have actually put out and the ones that they didn't, having a balance. Look at what Saturday Vanguard carried. Saturday Vanguard says, World Bank to Nigeria, and I'm thinking this is an advice again, an economic related advice. Says, NYSC, your gold mine, leverage on it for industrialization.
We have said that on this desk several times. If you remember, there was a morning I was saying, what, on the average, a typical Nigerian university churns out every season let's be an average. A typical Nigerian churn out 5,000 graduates. Ties it by number of universities.
Federal,
and these some states, because of security, they merge, you go to some states, but these are young, very Nigerians with energy, ideas. You put them together, all you teach them is attention, stand still, correction, and then you set them to go. When they started the experiment of NYC farms, go between ENUGU and Abakaliki, it's a massive land where NYC were planting rice. NYC. It's no more. So they depend, you see, when we say, I don't know what do we have in our brains. We still need World Bank and IMF to tell us this. This is low-hanging fruits. Young Nigerians, even when we are talking here, say, do not even bother to send them anywhere. Put them in one place. Make it comfortable. Pay them allowance every 1 year. They pass through there. They produce agbado. They produce ewa. All this. And then which other one? And we have it in abundance.
But Chris, you know what you just explained now, lofty, beautiful. Are we sure this is exactly the same line, the same thought line that the IMF and the World Bank?
Whichever way we are talking about, if you think along their line.
A gold mine, no, they have not explained to us exactly what they mean.
When somebody say you have gold mine, start with the low-hanging one and get to. Because most of them, when you have put Nigerian graduates of this caliber together, let them feel free to come up with ideas.
Ideas.
Among them, they will develop even ITs. Some will write programs that will, things that will make change Nigerian agricultural system.
I'm just saying, I love what you're saying, and I get it. I'm just saying, is the World Bank really for us? Are they saying all this because they love us? Or there is a little bit of an opportunity for them there?
Nobody loves you more than... there was a guy who said...
There's a little bit of opportunity for them there.
He has a face only his mother can love. If somebody has that face. Nigerians, we have a face only Nigerians can like. There's no free meal. Why are we at this age, 64 years, looking for who will advise us and who will love us? At 64 years, we have not realized that nobody, there is nothing we do for our girlfriend's son to call us Papa. If we have not realized that now, when are we going to realize that? That's why we go cap in hand and they will mess us up. Whoever goes a book, goes a soup. Who goes borrowing, goes a sorrowing. And God has blessed this nation with abundant, fertile land, massive. And we have these young people, they come around, some of them, they post them to some secondary schools and primary schools that don't have roof. You want these young people to stay there, waste away. Some of them will beg them to be rejected so that they go back to their father's house. How can Nigerian parents, after some 6 years course, some 4 years course, some 5 years course, you finish to go for NYC and you still see your son back in...
there's a news story. There's a news story that says how core member mysteriously disappeared in Rivers.
Now, we know Rivers for setting fire. We have people who fire crackers there. But this is the first time we're hearing of Rivers with this kind of story. We've had it some other places, but Rivers people should take note about this, and we urge the government of Rivers State, as it is, to get to the root of it. It takes 1 million men and women to build reputation. But it takes one little foolish effort to destroy it. Beyond all we know Rivers State for, we don't know them with this kind of thing, that the youth copper will be missing. There are things that can happen here, but youth coppers has been free to move around Rivers State. If there are other things they do, that's by the way. I'm saying this is new on Rivers State. And we advise that the government of Rivers State will take care of this. Otherwise, when we're working in development sector, there are states in Nigeria they have where the way they rate their security. That the ones that have A, B, C, the ones that are zero, the red lines. To send development workers to those states, it's with a lot of cost for the development, and because they do a lot of security issues. River State fell on B, second level. It has some security, but that's about development workers and all. It has not gotten to a typical Nigerian who has gone to River State to serve. We'll be having this kind of story. It is unheard of with River State, the Garden City. And I pray God that the government of River State and everybody concerned, all the good people of River State should join hands to do it. Otherwise, imagine what it means, that what happens now, that if you graduate in Southeast Nigeria, the next alternative is for you either to go to Niger Delta or South or whatever, the nearest state to serve. When that begins to happen nearest, it means when you finish in IMT ENUGU or ESUT or any of the UNEC, you be serving in ENUGU. And the whole essence of National Youth Service Commission, with whatever they think that it has been a gold mine, have been destroyed by one stupid and wicked effort. That should be watched. Whatever has happened in the past, but we begin now to watch. It's sad that a young Nigerian will say you just missed. No.
Chris, before I let you go because of time, time is up. You said something of recent, I think 2 days ago or so, and then you went viral, and a lot of people had a lot of things to say about what you said. But now it's coming up on the Saturday Vanguard saying Igbos easily subdued at home these days. Like, the statement felt like a mockery, and then the writer came out and said, how viral video from unknown face shut down Southeast for 2 days.
It's not a monopoly of Igbo land. Whoever is taking that is taking swipe. But we have talked about how this overstaying at home has destroyed the Igbo economy, Igbo nation's economy. But let me tell you, what happened in Nigeria, that's something that worries everybody. People go, this is a nation where the government, the governors, as they stand, have lost every sense of authority. They will say something people hardly believe it. But one viral video from any unknown face, you see people, and what happens, it's not that they say it's easily. These threats, they go about to make it real. The last one that happened in Igbo land, people think it went without his, but you put your nose down, you find weird trailer filled on Akigo Road, viral video where they were set on fire, and cars on the street where there were gunshots, and just to press their point home. And you ask yourself, if this happens, some people will give some a threat, the government will sit quiet. And these are the government people who go about with the retinue of police escorts. And they want you, as ordinary human beings, to go to the street. They will just give you order, go to the street, open the shops and all. You find out that each time the governors come out to say, go back to the market, open the shops, that's the day nobody will appear. Because they know that once you try this, these people that are giving these threats will come out to make good their threat. So they have to begin to really do something to assure the people that they are in control. Because this is a nation only where, what they call it, non-government actors give orders, and the whole nation will catch cold. But when the government itself gives order, people hardly, they will be weighing whether it's true or not. There are days they say it's a sit at home for clean up exercise, and people will wake up, look through their window, if they see their neighbor going, that's it.
Well, Chris, is it because of what the governors do or say, or what they don't do, or what they don't say? Because if the governors equip the agencies or get the agencies to, patrol the streets during, those sit-at-home, whatever orders, people will be, want to come out because first they see the security operatives.
Exactly. I used to stay in a place where when the governors, what they do, they will protect only their own areas with, and make sure that government house is secured, no-go area. They block all the roads that pass there.
Yeah.
But the people that are not in government house have to provide their own security.
Well, thank you.
I'm just saying, only God knows.
Thank
but
you
they know
very
what is
much,
wrong,
Chris.
and they know how to solve it.
Thank
I
you
am
very
not a
much.
security agent.
We do appreciate you coming to the studio to have this conversation with us. Your insight as well is always very insightful. So thank you very much.
Passionate.
Always
Thank you.
passionate.
Passionate,
Very,
Chris.
very passionate, yes.
Thank
Passionate
you.
Chris.
Well, we'll go on a very short break. When we come back, we have an interview lined up for you. It's going to be an interesting one. I want you to stick around. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. So see you after this break. Welcome back. This is still New Day on Signature TV. I have a story for you. The president of Signature TV, Vin Martin Obiora Elo, is appealing to wealthy members of the society to offer helping hands to the poor and less privileged members of the society. Elo made the appeal when he granted audience to members of the Rectorate Club, Zone 10, ENUGU, at the corporate headquarters of Signature TV, Tinker's Corner, ENUGU. He said the present hardship in the country demands that those who have the means should begin to reach out to those who are finding it increasingly difficult to feed themselves and their family.
Because there are no people to help or he can't find them, then they're not being sincere. Because everywhere you look, especially at this time, you see so much suffering. You see so much suffering. A lot of people are not able to have 3 square meals. A lot of us can't have 3 square meals. A lot of people don't go to school. A lot of students don't go to school like 5 days a week anymore. That's why we are calling on well-to-do Nigerians. We can make life a little better for those that can't take care of themselves. And I encourage you, younger people, you have started well, please don't give up. Of course, you can't solve all the problems, but they say little drops of water makes an ocean.
The Signature TV boss thanks the club for recognizing his modest contribution to the society, emphasizing that his scholarship scheme over the years were designed to equip the youth in his community to become responsible and productive members of the society. The leaders of the delegation and Assistant District Retract President, Zone 10, ENUGU, Dr. Kingsley Chukwukewu, praised Vin Martin Ilo for his act of philanthropy over the years, especially his scholarship scheme, which has run for decades. Chukwukewu said the activities of the Signature TV president align with the key philosophy of the Rotary and Rotaract Club, which focus on service to humanity.
Bringing every other little idea, every other little contributions everyone can give, then you see that things begin to change because everyone is doing the bits they can. So that is why we really appreciate what you are doing on your own, and we are telling you to just keep on the good work. And we also pray that God keeps enlarging you so that you do even more.
The visiting Rotaract used the opportunity to visit the present, I beg your pardon. The visiting Rotaract used the opportunity of the visit to present an award for community service to Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. Well, Professor Humphrey also passed away on the 24th of October 2024. Journalist Vin Martin Obiora Ilo, who had the privilege of interviewing Professor Humphrey Noso, described him as a rare Nigerian whose life was an embodiment of integrity, humility, and excellence. Ilo, who featured on Signature Morning on Signature TV, said the late chairman of the National Electoral Commission was a patriot who put his life on the line for the love of the country. He emphasized that his first interview with Humphrey Noso, which he published in his book, gave him an insight on dreams the late professor had for Nigeria, the challenges of the African continent, and the need for homegrown solutions to Nigeria's myriad of problems. Veteran journalist Vin Martin Obiora describes Humphrey Noso as a rare Nigerian. Well, it was an interesting interview we had with Vin Martin Ilo. He gave us a lot of insight on Humphrey and the life Humphrey lives. Having to have a first-hand experience of interviewing him, not just once, but I think quite a number of times, was really an interesting one.
Absolutely. When I heard of his passing, what just dropped out of my mouth was, well, no harm meant, but I said they don't make technocrats come politicians like this anymore. The man was an epitome of integrity, forthrightness, and he fought for what he believed. You know what they say, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And he was one man that I can say that he stood for what he believed in, and he has that, he has posterity to remember him, of course, for that.
Well, you can find that interview on our YouTube channel on Signature TV, so do well to go there and watch it. Moving over, we're going to the retrospect of the week. And on Monday, we had an interesting conversation about gender-based violence. And we had Lady Jane come into the studio to have this conversation with us, give us insight on what we should know and what we should not, and things we should learn and things we should work on. Do take a listen. From statistics, we see that 1 in 3 women experience physical or sexual violence worldwide, and this is coming from the World Health Organization. So we want to talk about gender-based violence, how it has affected us, the people, not just the men, not just women as well, but men as well. Yes, and then we don't get to hear more conversation about how it affects men, but then of course it does affect men, and then we're here to give a voice to the voiceless. And in the studio with us is Lady Jane Kalu Ndukwe. She's the founder, Genuine Womanhood Initiative Pathway to Nation Building. Good morning, Mom.
Good morning, Justin.
Good morning.
Thank you.
It is amazing to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming into the studio this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Now, so gender-based violence. I mean, to somebody who is just watching and is wondering what could be that, and somebody who has probably not experienced this thing and then feels like, I don't think it's much more of a force like that. What do you have to say about gender-based violence?
Okay. So gender-based violence is any harm that comes to any gender. Now, usually it's the female gender, but we also know that men also face gender-based violence. So any harm that comes, and this could be physical, which most people know, hitting somebody, maiming the person. It could be sexual, which includes rape, molestation. It could also be emotional, you know, which includes isolation, you know, rejection, you know, things like that. And then psychological, you know, psychological when you are looking at talking down on someone, undermining the person, and causing the person to lose her self-esteem and confidence. Then we also have other issues such as female genital mutilation. We also have trafficking, human trafficking. Then there's also, I'm trying to think of the other one, but much of it has to do with control. You know, when there's an imbalance of power and not adequately recognizing the other gender for who she really is. Because why I'm saying she, because majority of cases it's been the female gender. Yeah.
So what are the factors, or would I say social, because I know we will have some social factors, some cultural factors, some economic factors that might contribute to this persistence violence. Could you mention some of these factors that, you know, trigger violence or gender-based violence between the upcoming generation? Okay.
The first one I want to look at is culture and religion, you know, which is so embedded in our society, especially, I don't want to say African, you know, but I'm just going to use Nigeria, you know, as a case study. So we're so religious as a people, and we are so deep in culture. Now, I believe that culture should evolve, you know, because there are many things that have evolved, but this particular area of control doesn't seem to have evolved, you know. So, and it's so deep in our culture, you know, where the woman is seen as a second-class citizen, you know, and it starts from the home. You know, you have a male child, a female child. You know, you have cases where a woman has female children and she's still regarded as not having children. You know, and then some cases, I've heard cases where she's been sent away just because she didn't have a male child. Then when she has a male child, you know, the male child is revered. You know, so much is given. So the male child, right from inception, already sees himself as superior. So he looks down on the sister, you know, and he looks down on other females because already in his subconscious mind, he's thinking, I should be the king. Yeah, you can be the king, but she's also the queen. You know, so that is so deep in our culture. And when you speak with older people, you know, I mean, I remember in my own case, because I also suffered, you know, from gender-based violence.
Okay, could you narrate your audio?
Honestly, that is, I wanted to ask
We
that.
want to learn
okay,
from
wait.
that and how you coped.
Before you continue your train of thought, I wanted to ask, what was the motivation for you to create the Genuine Womanhood Initiative? What was that experience you had that said, okay, no, I have to do this and I have to give a voice to the women?
Yeah. It was actually based on what I suffered, you know. I married a man who I loved, and I thought he loved me, but it wasn't that, you know, and I suffered many things, and I almost lost my life, you know. So I got to the point, mine was more of the emotional and psychological abuse. And people think that's, okay, that doesn't really matter so much. After all, we're not seeing bruises on your, you know, that doesn't mean I didn't have some of those, you know. So, but the thing is that it got to the point where I lost every sense of who I was. You know, I suffered depression. I used to walk with my head down, thinking that the whole world was better than me. You know, I remember sometime in England, an Englishman said to me, Jane, look up, you've done nothing wrong. I couldn't look people in the face. I always had to go down, you know, look down, you know, and I felt that the world was passing me by till the day I stood at the bridge in Manchester and I almost plunged in because I had been told several times that I was useless. You know, and what saved me was the fact that I saw my 2 children. They were really little, you know, beckoning on me, telling me that they needed me. It was an apparition. It wasn't real, you know, but you know, I could see them across that river and I was looking. That was the wake-up call that I needed.
And that was Lady Jane on Monday discussing gender-based violence. Before we go ahead on to Tuesday, Joshua, you're the one that took this interview.
Yes.
You know, from what she said, it seems to me like the key things that, you know, keep women down and don't speak out and don't try to leave an abusive relationship is religion and culture.
Culture, yes.
More like 2 sides of one coin. How was the interview for you?
It was mind-blowing. The fact that she had experienced it firsthand and then she had fought and won the battle.
Yeah, she's an abuse warrior.
Yes, and now she's able to tell the story. In as much as there's still much more ignorance and limitation, because she said that it's not just even about being educated, that she has met many educated people who still have that ignorance in this aspect, having to feel the fear of where will I go to after I leave this man. And of course, again, gender violence is not just about the women as well. She gave the perspective that it's both ways. Men have suffered, and she said she wished that there were more men coming out to speak out. But, you know, for men, I think it's even more worse in the fact that, in the sense that you can't tell your fellow man that my wife is beating me.
You know, it's the thing with the male gender. You are strong, bear it, don't say, don't show emotion, don't behave like a woman. And the man is dying on the inside because their psychological fiber is not as strong as the women. So they are dying inside, they are taking to vices. I think more people should come out and talk about
it, yes. I
violence
think one of the major things she said that is very important is that governments need to start creating facilities, shelter homes, where people can actually go after they leave an abused home, be it male or female, so that...
But there's a Ministry of Social Development and Women Affairs.
Not just
Shouldn't they be tasked with this?
Not just with Women Affairs, a place where you can go and feel safe, like and your spouse doesn't, your spouse doesn't get to know where you are, just in case it's a physical violence.
All right, very quickly before I get to Tuesday, I watched this viral video where a lady was beating up a guy.
Yes.
And not because the guy wasn't able to beat her up, but because he, according to him in the video, he was saying, my mother raised me well, I cannot hit you back. And this lady was just slapping him around, saying, fight back, fight back. And I'm sitting, I'm like, so I raised my son, and you will come and treat him like this?
Yeah.
I will be the lady to end you. I take that back. All right, moving ahead. On Tuesday, we spoke on urban water reforms. Engineer Peter Chukwuma was on ground to give us an expose on urban water reforms. He is the MD, Imo Water and Sewage Corporation. Hear what he had to say.
We're going to be moving over to another guest. His name is Engineer Peter Chukwuma. He's the MD, Imo Water and Sewage Corporation in Imo State. He's he's going to be joining us in a conversation, urban water utilities reform. We want to get to know about things happening in Imo State and Southeast, of course. Good morning, Engineer.
Yeah, good morning.
So before we move to what we want to discuss, I wanted to get your take on this sit at home that has been in place from yesterday heading over till today. You are in Imo State, I believe. So I want you to tell us about your own experience in Imo State. How has the sit at home been for you?
Okay. I wouldn't say much because I didn't move around much. Where I'm staying is calm, nothing, no incidents, nothing is happening. Um, so I would say that I'm not in a position to give you a very candid report on the situation because I just stayed and relaxed. I had my rest and I did my work online. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to you from the balcony of my house. But generally, there is no incidents.
All right, thank you very much for that report. Let's move ahead to the topic we have here, the urban water utilities reform. So I would want to know, what are the major, challenges currently facing urban water utilities in Imo State?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I want to add that the situation or the condition is an endemic situation that happens nationwide. Um, when you talk about the urban water utility, you're talking about the water agency that is responsible for providing potable water to the public in the urban areas. Urban areas, by our definition, entails cities or settlements with a population of 20,000 or above. I mean, the population, the demographic figure, we're looking at people 20,000 and above. We classify such settlement as urban. As urban. Now, the general problem with water supply in urban settlement, uh, we have this issue of dilapidated infrastructures. We have water schemes that are world class, very good water schemes, but they were built several years ago. And because of poor maintenance culture in the country, these infrastructures are working below design capacity. In some places, they are not even working at all. And even where they are working, I talked about below design capacity, and this has to do with a whole gamut of problems, starting from dilapidated infrastructure and the main problem of power supply. Because water supply entails a lot of mechanized systems of pumps, compressors that requires energy. And the energy chain in the country affects water supply severely. So much. We have the problem of sometimes erratic power supply. We have power voltage outages, voltage failures, phase failures. These do affect our ability to impact the public. Urban water supply is supposed to be a 24-hour supply service, but power supply has been a major bane in the public utilities. That is the main problem in this country that we must get right if the urban utilities are to deliver on their mandate.
So how does the Imo Water and Sewage Corporation plan to reform and modernize water services in urban areas in Imo State? You've talked about the issue of power, but what other reforms are you putting in place? Is the organization putting in place, to make sure they modernize water services in urban areas?
Yeah, the good news for Imo State has been that the present administration has the goodwill and have been very supportive because water supply is actually a very capital intensive activity. And if you don't have the support of the executive, then we'll be in a reverse gear. So the good news is that the government of the present administration is very supportive, and we are engaging in several fronts to ensure that our water supply systems are restored. We are looking at it from several fronts. One, over the years, there has been decay of infrastructure. There has been growth on demographic figures. where demographic figures are at growing infrastructures.
Well, if you've been following the case of EFCC and all of the dramas that has been, going on with it, then of course you would have a burning sensation in your chest and you would want to have a conversation. Well, we had that sensation and we had a conversation on Wednesday, and we had Barrister Louis coming to discuss corruption and anti-corruption efforts in Nigeria. Do take a listen.
We have here, talking about corruption and anti-corruption efforts in Nigeria, we have Barrister Louis Oya, a legal practitioner, publisher, independent Summit newspapers. You would want to, hear more. Good morning, Barrister. How are you?
Good morning. It's nice to have you.
I am super ready because I know you have a lot of things to say about what's happening, especially in terms of corruption. What would you say is the current state of corruption in Nigeria, and how has it, evolved over the years?
Well, I am not the only person, with due respect, who has a lot of things or complaints about corruption in Nigeria. But one of my friends says the other time that Nigeria is a weeping nation, that it should be known as a weeping nation. And the citizens are overwhelmingly weeping. So corruption is that endemic problem that makes everybody who is reasonable to weep. The pattern now is that even when we talk about corruption, the leadership does not seem to, even reckon with what we are saying. They are not disturbed. They are not perturbed. So corruption before it used to be within the civil service strata. So when you see somebody is a civil servant at any level, he is charged to a magistrate court for taking bribe or something. But nowadays, no, it's a routine thing now. It's open. From the high and the mighty, otherwise, why should we still have National Assembly? What are they doing? I used to ask this question, what are they doing? The other time, one senator was saying 14 million naira was too small. 14 million naira. If you give me 14 million naira dash, just like they take it like that, I will depose to an affidavit that I will never be poor till I die. If I die, if I become poor, the money I should pay back. Because 14 million naira in Nigeria today is a huge sum of money. He used to be, in the last 10 years or 20 years, he used to have a local government that 40 million naira will be his budget. But today, a senator pockets 40 million. He says, from where? How did he get it? These are corruption, corrupt practices from everywhere. Now, there's no place. You go to any institution, tell me which one that you don't have corruption. Is it even among churches and the imams? I mean, the imams and the pastors and whatever. Corruption is everywhere. So it's not something, I am saying that Nigerians should stop talking about anything. Let them take action.
All right. Barrister, according to statistics, in 2012, Nigeria was estimated to have lost over $400 billion to corruption, I beg your pardon, since its independence. I mean, that's a whole lot of money, $400 billion. Now, my question is, was it better during the military regime or now? Which was better during the military regime? Of course, you were around, so you knew how it was then. Do you think corruption was better?
One who sowed seed of corruption in Nigeria and continued. When people were fighting the military to go, there were some civilians who pretended they didn't know what was happening. They were so quiet. Then, the moment the military was eased off, they now took over and started doing whatever. So, both is more pronounced now because of no fear. This is democracy. There's a limit to how you can be harassed. People like you will shout and say, is it because he said this? So that is why more people are talking about it. In those days, anyway, again, the other side, military will come and settle you. After, if they detain you 2-3 times and you are still unyielding, they will settle you. If they can't get you, they will get your wife. If they can't get your wife, they will get your son and give it daddy. They will bribe them, give them money, give them positions. So it's more pronounced now. That does not mean that they were sent. We've never had it good. Because institutions are usually targeted. Once they cripple that institution, then they will have their way.
And that was Barrister Louis Onye and his take on corruption and anti-corruption efforts in Nigeria. And then on Thursday, we had a very interesting discussion, retail business in Southeast Nigeria. We had Oyebuchi Robert Awatu Jr. come in to discuss this topic. He is the ED, Executive Director of Ruben Group. Do take a listen and hear what he had to say.
This morning, we have the discussion talking about the retail business in Southeast Nigeria, Roban stores to be precise, at 25. Okay, and before I introduce our guest in the studio, Roban store happened to be one of the leading retailers in Southeastern region of Nigeria. So we want to know what's been, leading them, what's been driving, what's been pushing them. So we have here the Executive Director of Roban Group, Oyebuchi Robert Awatu. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Doing great.
Okay, so before we dive into Roban store, I want to know the retail businesses in Nigeria. I want to understand what is the level of content, the local production, the local content versus the foreign contents in Nigeria's business.
I've said this before. I think it's quite low. The local production done here compared to the foreign ones, which we import every single time. I said every time what Roban stands for is to promote as many local businesses as possible. But at the same time is there are many local productions done here in Nigeria, but the problem is packaging. Problem is they don't go through the right procedures. And before you can have your products on our shelf, you need to go through the right process. You need to have NAFDAC, you have to go through the proper regulatory bodies, but they don't. But a few of them, I think for now, I still say is about 15%, which is quite poor. Most times we have people coming to us and then we get to advise them and tell them, okay, see what you have to do. You have to do this, do that, and then your product is, of good standard and it can come on our shelves or go on any shelf you want. Some people take the advice. I know someone who I spoke to like 2 years ago and she came back strong, very strong, and now the products are everywhere. She's excited. Some people, you tell them it looks like you don't want to shelf their products, and Nigerians, I think sometimes we don't take what we call it,
criticism, positive criticism.
Positive criticism, that's the word. We don't take it lightly. Sometimes you tell people what to do and it becomes a problem.
So how do you think, they should improve, especially the part of the government? What role do you think they should play in making sure or in supporting them to, get this thing right?
I think we have a lot of creative minds in Nigeria, but I think the problem is the government too. Because sometimes these regulatory bodies, they make it quite difficult for these people to get what needs to be done. You have to pay this person. Sometimes they forget that if someone is new, if this is a startup, we always have to encourage them. The kind of amount or payments, the bills they give them to pay is a bit difficult for them. So sometimes it's very difficult. So I think 60% of the problem comes from the government, to be honest, and the regulatory bodies. But I think the companies or the individuals themselves, they have like 40% to play, which is brand your products better. Because when you talk about a supermarket, in whatever sector you are, you have a lot of competitors. So if you want to be competing with a foreign brand, it has to look good. So when a customer sees it, they can say, okay, I've never seen this before, but it looks nice. Because I think, like they say, Ndibo say, before thank you. So that's just basically what.
How do you ensure quality products at fair prices?
For the products, we have different stages. You see, that's where the procurement team comes in. That's where I come in. First of all, when you bring a product to us, there are certain, guidelines, there are certain standards it has to have, like, like things like barcode, probably NAFDAC number, SON, depending on the kind of product it is, the manufacturing date, production date. If that's fine, if you pass that first stage where they have to, you take all the checklists, that's fine. Then you go to the next one. The next one now is where we have to start looking into them. We have that's an internal thing where we think, what kind of product is this? Is this a new product in the market? How do we go about having this on our shelf? If we get it on our shelves, will it fly? If after the internal meetings we've done that and we feel like this is a good one, then we can now invite the person and he comes and you now tell us your plans, what you intend to do. If it's a product that is already popular, some products, a lot of products are not that popular, especially if it's local. So the whole point is to support as many as you can. It depends on what they are willing, how they are willing to market their products. Because at the end of the day, we create the platform and you bring the goods. But at the same time, we're giving you a platform to be on the shelf with as many people as possible, giving you the visibility. But you have to also play your part, trying to do the marketing. It's not down to us alone.
An interesting conversation there. Of course, you can find this on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to go check it out, even on our website at www.signaturetv.org. And on our YouTube, turn on the notification so that when interviews like this or conversations like this come up, you get to be notified. We'll go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll have a conversation that you do not want to miss. See you after this.
Well, continuing on our discussion on New Day today, we will be talking about a very important topic, talking about the brain and brain wellness. And with rising cases of dementia and Alzheimer's and, of course, epilepsy and other neurological issues, it has become imperative that we talk about this and how to maintain the well-being of this organ called the brain. And we have an important person in studio to give us insights into this topic, Dr. Fintan Ekochin. He is a consultant physician and a neurologist. He has been a one-time ENUGU State Commissioner for Health, and he is here in person to talk to us. Good morning, Dr. Fintan. How are you this morning?
Thank you very much. I'm fine.
Good morning,
Doctor.
It's a pleasure to be with you here.
Can I compliment the color? It's quite catchy. Compliment your color too, your skin color.
Thank you very much. You wear something reddish when you want to make a point.
Absolutely.
When you want to rock the table.
Are you a psychologist too?
Because we're going to do that too.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Beautiful. So you're a neurologist, and I know there are some doctors too who identify as neuropsychiatrists, neuroscientists. What exactly is the difference?
A neurologist is a specialist doctor that deals with diseases of the brain and the central nervous system at large without surgery.
Okay.
So by any other means, drugs, lifestyle, and all. A neurosurgeon is a specialist doctor that deals with diseases of the brain and the spinal cord via surgical procedures. That's the big difference. A neuropsychiatrist is a specialist doctor that deals with the challenges of mental health. So we talk about behavioral issues, social incompatibilities, occupational non-adjustments, childhood psychiatric problems, adult psychiatric problems. So those are neuropsychiatrists.
Trauma comes into play as well?
Which one?
Just for the therapist, the neurotherapist.
Yeah, the psychiatrist has a team that he works with. So the clinical psychologist is part of his team.
Okay.
So these are the three broad areas, all under neurosciences.
Okay. Now you're a professional, you're a specialist, but there's someone listening to you and wants to understand. You know, if you want to prompt maybe ChatGPT or any other search engine, you say, "Teach me this" to a dummy. You understand? We're not saying that they are dummies. We're just saying that they have zero knowledge of
layman.
Technical, layman. So we're going to ask you to explain to us, because you mentioned the brain and the CNS, the spinal cord.
Yes.
Explain to us what these organs mean and their importance in the body.
There are systems in the body. You have the cardiac.
Cardiac
the vascular,
means
the
cardiac
heart,
means heart.
The heart. You have the gastrointestinal, the stomach and intestines. You have the endocrine system, which is an invisible system of hormones that controls a lot of functions. You have the central nervous system, simply called the nervous system, which comprises the brain, the spinal cord, and the peripheral nerves and all the parts of our body. Okay. So it's the central nervous system or the nervous system that is the domain of the neurologist. Diseases that involve all these components of the CNS is the daily duty of the neurologist, and he approaches them from either medications, lifestyle, and other means that are non-surgical. I'm
interested in the lifestyle, but before we get to that, I want you, because right here in this studio we've talked about nephrology, kidneys, talked about hepatology, the liver, we've talked about prostate, these organs. So I want you to just explain the brain as an organ in a human being.
Every specialist will put his own organ in quotes as the most important.
Yes.
So if you ask me that, I'll tell you, when I decided to do neurology, there's an argument that really touched me. And it said, if you say you don't want to do neurology, well, you go to do cardiology and you use your brain to study the heart. If you say you don't do neurology, you want to do orthopedic surgery, you use your brain to study how to amend damaged bones. So that really touched me. So that's why we will say that neurology is the nucleus of medicine.
Is it safe to say, keeping the question previously in mind, that neurology is the most difficult aspect of medicine?
Well, people believe that, and unfortunately some of my colleagues like to make it look that way. And what is the end result? The end result is that very few doctors go into that area. So I always say neurology is straightforward, and I chose it because it's straightforward.
All right.
And I'm enjoying it because it's straightforward. So I don't want to bring the word difficult.
That's all right. So go back to the brain in explaining to us exactly what it does and what it is.
You have an organ in the skull.
When you say skull?
The bone, this bone here in my head is the skull.
Okay.
So if you hit your head on the wall, it's the skull you're hitting there. So that the bone, the skull, is protecting something very special. So you can imagine. So many organs are exposed. If you stab someone with a knife, you could get the liver, you could get the kidneys. But the brain is locked up. God has designed it in a way that is locked up within a very thick, double-layered bone. So that's the brain for you. It's made up 60% of fat.
And they
That's
tell
very
us not to eat fat.
Exactly. So when I say we'll rock the table, that's where it starts.
Yeah.
The brain is built of fat, 60%. Very, very little protein, lots of water, and nearly no carbohydrates. So if you want to maintain your brain, you have to be very careful with the fats you take into your system.
Please go into it in details.
We will. So when you say brain health, actually, it's something that you cannot discuss in isolation. So you don't pick the brain and say, this is what the brain needs to be healthy. I'm sorry, but if you do it, maybe your kidney will suffer. No, fortunately, that's not the way it is. It is a holistic approach. So when we say we want to discuss brain wellness, brain health, it's inevitably going to be a holistic, total health. So whatever is good for the brain, the kidneys, the liver, the heart, everybody's going to enjoy, even the skin, the hair, everything. So that's the good news about it. So when we say brain health, and we say that there are things we need to consider, we often overlook the mind. It's very unfortunate that all over the world, the mind has been subtracted, removed from the equation of health.
Is it because it's invisible?
Exactly. It's invisible. You can't make patterns around thoughts, emotions. You can't run businesses. You can't set up public liability companies and sell shares.
Wow.
So that's a very big challenge. But we know every day, we have cardiologists emphasize type A, type B persons. You see people who, you call them hot-tempered, for short, that's what they are. And if you watch, they have challenges more with blood pressure. So the mind cannot be taken out of the equation. So when you come to neurology and brain health, the same thing happens. So if you bear grudges, if you find it hard to forgive people, it bears on your neurologic and brain health.
And the fact that I don't forgive easily
Wow.
can affect.
Yes.
We thought
this is something that nobody talks about.
We thought that forgiveness lies within the domain of
religion.
morality and religion.
Sorry, it starts there and crosses into every other domain.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
if you have emotional issues, unforgiveness issues, you have poor sleep, your blood pressure goes up, your brain doesn't refresh at night as it should, you have nightmares, So the way it affects health, it's something that's being studied every day. But one thing we know for sure is that it has a very big influence on health.
And is there a relationship between the brain as a physical structure and the mind as an invisible phenomenon? There
is. It has an institute. So listeners may wish to write down HeartMath Institute. Heart. And then maths, like the mathematics.
M-A-T-H.
Yes. So HeartMathInstitute.org is their website. They have done unprecedented research on what we call the heart-brain axis, the heart-brain connection. So we operate as spiritual beings religiously, but in the physical world we operate as heart-brain units. So when you feel things, in English we say, it touched my heart. But we know the heart doesn't think.
Yes.
So why don't we say it touched my brain? It functions as a unit. So today the HeartMath Institute has published studies upon studies showing how these two things work together. So when you have an emotion, your heart feels it and communicates your brain immediately. There are things you hear, your feeling changes, and you can't reason anymore. You're looking for something, and somebody says, excuse me, I'm talking to you. You don't even hear the person talk. Why? Because the heart has felt an emotion and has switched off your sensory systems for that period. So the same way about emotions, anger, joy, sadness, happiness, jealousy, envy, all these things.
You're talking emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Yes. So that's just the first point. I don't want to dwell too much on it. We may have to convene another day to expand on that. But let's just know that you cannot remove the mind from the equation of brain health. That's just the point I want to make there. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is what everybody keeps talking about. Diet. Eat this, eat that.
Lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
Okay, dietary.
Diet is a part of lifestyle. And perhaps the most emphasized one. And the way everybody is a guru and advisor on diet is shocking.
Thanks to social media.
Yes. So the quacks and the professionals are all arguing. And I tell medical students at a teaching hospital, when the professional engages in an argument with the quack, the person passing doesn't know the difference anymore.
Whoa.
So I do my best never to engage in dietary argument with someone else. I always say this: what has been practiced by a society, a group of people, a culture, a person, and what is the outcome? Let's take it from there. So one of the biggest things in the last 5 years that I have come to see, learn, understand as a specialist doctor is that things keep changing. Let's remind ourselves, was there a time doctors promoted cigarette smoking in this world? Yes, there
It's
was.
possible.
You know, no, it's not possible. Yes, there was. Go online, put Camel cigarettes and doctors' endorsement. You see pictures of adverts run in America in the 50s and 60s. Doctors promoted specific brands of cigarettes. Was there a time breastfeeding was discouraged? Yes. Women were told this and that, and then they stopped. Fortunately, like 15, 20 years ago, Well Women Clinic started, and
Research or something
yes,
to support.
breastfeeding was being promoted big time. So it was retracing the steps on an error. So in the same way, dietary advice has undergone a lot of transformation, and we're waking up.
Same thing with cholesterol.
Thank you. I'm happy you mentioned it first. I'm happy. So today I discuss a lot about what I call the exoneration of cholesterol.
Do you have papers on it already?
Oh yes, oh yes. Beyond me, so look, watch out here. In 2000, a grand journal in the world called Neurology, which is one of the big journals, published an article where there was a shocking statement there that people with higher levels of cholesterol have less stroke. And people with high levels of cholesterol that do have a stroke recover faster. It's there. If you Google neurology and say stroke outcomes vis-a-vis cholesterol levels, you'll be shocked. In 2000. So the exoneration of cholesterol has been a process for the past 20 years. And the pressure became so high that the United States Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee, US DAG or so, came out in 2015 and said something that the whole world is yet to hear. But it's published. What did they say? Cholesterol is no longer a nutrient of concern for overconsumption. I quote them.
Really?
So nobody should be telling you, don't eat this, it contains cholesterol. Nobody. The science is there, the research is there, and the guidelines from the US Advisory Committee on Dietary Processes has come out and published in 2015.
So why do you think that it's still much of a big deal now? Do you think people are profiting from it, or what do you think would be the reason why people still feel like cholesterol is harmful to your health?
Two big reasons. A large body is profiting from the status quo. Yes.
I was going to get there.
Yes, that's the truth.
The big farmers. Yeah?
Thank you. So they are listening and they are unhappy. But as a doctor, we need to defend our patients.
Absolutely.
We swore to offer our patients the best and to do no extra harm. So I cannot keep quiet anymore when I know all these things. If I'm a doctor and I don't know them, fine. God will judge me that way. But I have been given that knowledge and I have to talk about it. So taking food that contains cholesterol is not going to harm you in any way. Does it mean that pathologists who are specialist doctors that cut up dead bodies don't see cholesterol blocking the artery in the heart and the brain? It doesn't. There are indeed people that die from heart attacks. Cholesterol has blocked the arteries in the heart. People that have strokes, cholesterol has blocked the arteries in the brain.
So what happened in that case?
Good. Cholesterol is a band-aid. Cholesterol
What
is
does
a
that
plaster.
mean? Okay.
Cholesterol is a balm, a salve. that
Biological.
The body, yes, the body uses it to attend to wounds internally. That's the big deal. So if there is a location in an artery that's wounded for any reason, the body deploys cholesterol to repair
Or
it.
shouldn't there be a feedback mechanism?
There is, but if the injury keeps coming back and the body keeps reapplying cholesterol, one day the cholesterol might be too much and block. So, people always tell me, are you saying cholesterol is not blocking arteries? It does. But it arrives on the scene to protect. So I always tell people, if you peep through the windows of a hospital and then you see the doctors and nurses run around the patient and the patient dies, then you see them run around another patient dies. From the window, what do you conclude? The doctors and nurses are running around killing patients. But if you're in the hospital, you will see a different picture. The patient has a problem. There's an alarm, a code. The doctors and nurses rush to the bedside and try to save the patient. The patient may be saved or may die. So you don't judge from outside. Cholesterol is a band-aid, a plaster, to cover up a wound and help it to heal.
All right.
And the body produces it in large volumes.
Oh,
So
the body
if-
produces
Yes.
it, and then we take it in dietary
Because it's so important, we
quantity.
eat it and the body produces it. So if you say
Wow.
you won't eat it, your body will go ahead and produce it because it's so important.
Oh, amazing.
Okay, in your introduction about what the brain is and what it does, you mentioned that it's 60% fat, right?
Yes.
Predominantly.
Yes.
Now tell us how fat, cholesterol impacts on the brain.
Okay, so at this point, we need to bring in a molecule that has been behind the scenes causing trouble. And we need to call it out today, here and now.
I'm with you.
And the name is trans fats. Have you heard that before?
Fats. In passing.
Trans fats is the molecule that has been causing trouble.
And not
Also-
cholesterol.
And not cholesterol. Trans fats has been behind the scenes enjoying a lot of immunity and laughing at cholesterol for being the victim. Trans fats. So the research pointing out trans fats as the cause of damage to the vessels,
Trans fats.
causing cholesterol to come to the rescue.
Oh, but now being the one left at the scene.
Exactly. So trans fat has been behind the scenes hiding.
Is
Trans fat
is
the
trans
troublemaker.
fat same thing as triglycerides?
No. Trans fats, for those that understand chemistry, fatty acids that have double bonds are referred to as unsaturated. Now, these unsaturated areas of the fatty acids may become saturated in a process that drives them either to a cis configuration, CIS,
Now you've lost
or
most
a
of us.
trans configuration. Okay, see it this way. You have a double bond. You look like you're straight.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
You lose the double bond. You either get twisted, which is called cis, which the body loves, or you remain straight and twisted in a kind of parallel form. So I can draw it out, but it's not possible here. So that semi-straightened form is trans. It's something that the body does not know what to do. In fact, WHO has defined trans fats as a form of fat that has absolutely no nutritional benefit in the body. Over the years, trans fat was discovered to be the big troublemaker, driving free radical injury to the heart, to the brain, to the kidneys, to all the organs. When you say free radicals, everybody says yes, it causes a lot of trouble. But trans fat is the big driver. It's the biggest driver. So the trans fat we're talking about is coming from the diet largely. The body does not produce trans fat because it doesn't know what it is, it doesn't need it, it doesn't like it. So it's coming largely from diet.
What kinds of diet?
Diet that contains polyunsaturated fatty acids, PUFA.
In English. In English.
So it's diet.
What are those foodstuffs?
Yes, give us an
it's
example.
Oils. Oils.
Basic groundnut oil.
Oils that contain unsaturated fats are oils that are extracted from seeds. So if you want to coin the name, you say commercial seed oils.
Like
Take note.
sunflower oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Seeds have oil in very small quantities. So if you want to extract them, you're going to go through a very, very difficult process. The heat, the pressure, the acids that you're going to employ to extract oil from seeds. Even maize has seeds, has oil,
oil.
sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So you have maize oil. These are seed oils. So any seed that has oil that is extracted in the factory is full of unsaturated fats. These unsaturated fats have a very high tendency to switch to trans
Trans
fats.
fat.
And that's the big problem. So the WHO has mandated in 2018 through a program that we all need to hear about called Replace. Replace, WHO Replace. Go to their website, it's there. They have a logo for it. So they try to drive it country by country, and they gave a deadline of 2023 that every country in the world should have identified the sources of trans fats, pointed it out, offered substitutes to the people, and gone ahead to legislate and enforce bans on trans fat availability in foods.
And let me guess,
But Nigeria hasn't played along.
we're in a long...
In 2021, NAFDAC and the Federal Competition Consumer Protection Commission, have you heard about that before?
Never. Not
Please
heard
take
about
note of it. FCCPC
CCPC.
and the NAFDAC. They woke up in
Yes.
2021. That was 2 years to the WHO replace deadline. And they woke up and said a program, so make Nigeria trans fat free.
Free.
That was the program. How many of you heard about it? You see? So the program tried to start in 2021 and fell into the water, and nobody talked about it. Today, as a neurologist at the teaching hospital where I work in, ESU Teaching Hospital, we admit between 5 to 10 patients every day with stroke. So if I tell you numbers that WHO put stroke
Did
as
you
a-
say every day?
Every day.
What
every
age range?
Every day. Age range, well, stroke has always been a challenge of the elderly. But in the last 20 years, it has been shifting into the middle age. So today we are seeing lots of people in the 50s and a good number in the 40s. And these days we are seeing them in the 30s too. So when we preach stop smoking, it has an impact, it's small. We say mind your alcohol, it has an impact, it's small. We say exercise, it has an impact, it's small. What we're not talking about is trans fats, it has a huge impact.
Okay, so let's, I asked a question before now and I said, how does fats and cholesterol, right, affect the brain? What are the indicators to show that someone needs a boost in brain power or something, for lack of a way to put it?
Yeah.
What are, because if you have, of course, maybe any internal organ issues, there are indicators
There are
that
symptoms and
symptoms
signs.
and signs. Thank you.
So we have symptoms and signs for underperforming brain function. You have brain fog. It's a term that is very poorly defined, but what does it mean? You just wake up at times and you're not clear. You're confused, you have a very low energy level, your drive is not there, you forget very basic things that you should normally not forget. So it's all these things that we just coin vaguely as brain fog. That's one big pointer. Now, if you're a student, you have academic issues. If you're someone in an office that has to remember things, you have challenges remembering them. So you have challenges in performing. And it's this kind of problem that goes ahead, progresses over years to land the person in the world of dementia, where you don't remember your children's names.
So it starts small and then
Yeah,
becomes
exactly. It
something
starts very
big.
small. So when we do brain scans, we see early signs. We call it white matter changes. White matter changes. They are too small to be classified as strokes. But over years, they build up into monsters that rob you your mental capacity.
So what do you do when you start discovering them like that? Those tiny phases of your life where you just feel like, some people call it a blackout, I want to
Yes.
believe. So what do you do when it starts
You
like
have
that?
to go you have to sit down and look at your brain health. So all these things that we're supposed to discuss here, you have what we call the gut-brain axis. I talked about the heart-brain axis.
Heart-brain.
Yes.
Now you have the gut-brain axis.
Talking
This-
about the GIT?
Yes. So is there any relationship? Big time. You see, the brain communicates cell to cell with neurotransmitters. And when we say neurotransmitters,
Could you break it down? Yes, please.
neurotransmitters are messengers that go from one nerve cell to the other. So they kind of jump a physical gap.
Synapse.
And they say, hey, increase what you're doing, or hey, decrease what you're doing. That's what neurotransmitters do. So if I tell you that the brain is full of neurotransmitters, you're not surprised. But if I tell you that the intestines produce far more neurotransmitters than the brain, wow. But that's a fact. Wow. Mention any neurotransmitter. Serotonin is
Yeah,
is
the
is
feel-good
neurotransmitter.
hormone.
It's produced largely in intestines.
Wow.
The brain is a
Really?
small boy in producing serotonin compared to the intestines.
That's why they say you have butterflies in your tummy.
Exactly.
Ah.
These ancient idioms of English language have deep roots.
Wow.
So when people say I have a gut feeling, the neurotransmitters start. So today we've baptized it gut-brain axis. So when people suffer intestinal issues, my stools are hard, I'm constipated, I have a diarrhea. As a neurologist today, I sit up immediately because I know it's going to affect his brain sooner or later.
Wow.
So you don't play with it. So when someone says, I don't like this food, I don't tolerate this food, whenever I eat it, I feel like vomiting, I am very cautious. And I ask that person, let's take it seriously. This is not something that you're just going to talk to the gastroenterologist about. In the future, if we don't take it seriously, you could be my patient. Gut-brain axis.
Now, what I'm getting is that everything that can happen can lead back to the brain.
Yes.
What are those things we should watch out for?
I mentioned brain fog.
Yes.
So that would be the commonest and earliest sign. Okay? The bigger ones is headache.
Everybody has.
Exactly. So many a times a headache is because you're dehydrated. The brain has, apart from fat, water is the next big thing there. So if the brain starts to dry up, it sends you a signal of headache immediately. And if you take some water, the headache goes.
Honestly, there's so much.
So headache is a big pointer.
I wish we had more time. But before we run, what are some of the things that people can do for themselves to promote, health, wellness?
Brain
Some people will
wellness,
tell you, these guys that do this games, online gaming,
Yeah.
will tell you,
Yes.
use this game, it's good for seniors, it helps your brain.
True. Brain exercise.
Yes, what
So
are
brain
some of the things
exercises
they
are
can
very
do?
helpful. What I recommend for patients who need brain exercises is to go back to primary school, 1, class 1, 2, 3, you have what we call quantitative and verbal aptitudes. Those are the simplest brain tests you could engage in. You don't need electricity, you don't need a tablet, you don't need a phone, you don't need to download any apps. So that's what I recommend for patients. Indigent patients, you can't tell them to go and download apps. So you tell them to buy book 1, quantitative verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning workbooks. So brain exercises are very helpful. So that brings us to retire and tire. There is this behavior we see in Nigeria. People retire, private sector, public sector. And then the children are like, Daddy, Mommy, you've tried for me. I want you to enjoy your life now. So they push them into this real retirement. And 5 years, 10 years down the line, they are my patients. The same children that love them, that looked after them and put them in that comfortable zone, are the ones that will bring them to me and say, Daddy, Mommy, doesn't even remember my name.
Dementia. Wow.
And you now tell them, have you been using the brain? You've not.
Wow, Dr.
Use
Pinton,
it or lose it.
Use it or lose it. I love that. Dr. Pinton, we'll have to bring you back to this table because we've barely scratched the surface, and I'm sure people want to hear more about this so they can take care of their brains. I've not even gone to epilepsy, another neurological disorder, but that will be a subject for another time. So thank you so much for your insights. Thank you so for coming. All right, don't go anywhere. New Day continues right after this short break. Stay with us. All right, we are still continuing our discussions, and we'll be talking about the impact of Rotary Club, of course, in social development, especially as it concerns Nigeria. From healthcare to human capital development, Rotary International has been there. to support. So we're going to learn their work, their impact, and of course, the roles that they are playing in helping to improve social development. And we have an important guest in the studio to have this discussion with us. He is Rotarian, I beg your pardon, Rotarian Mazi Oha Chikujeku. He is the Assistant District Rotaract Representative Zone 10, Enugu State. Rotarian Rotaractor, forgive me. So please introduce yourself correctly, and we take it from there.
Okay, my name is Retractor Mazi Ohachkujeku.
Okay, Rotaractor.
Yes.
You're not a Rotarian yet. No. Okay, okay.
Before you even go, please just give us the difference. You are not a Rotarian, but a Rotaractor.
Okay, Rotarians, of course, are people who are part of the Rotary family. Retractor are, let's say, the youth arm of Rotary.
Okay, so it's basically age thing, an age factor
yeah,
kind of.
something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so you have Rotarians, you have Rotaractors,
Yeah.
and then in secondary schools and primary schools, you don't have any
Yeah, we have,
reach
in secondary schools, we have interactors.
interactors.
Yeah.
Then
Beautiful.
in primary schools, we have early act.
Early acts.
Yes.
And these arms are all active.
Yeah, of course.
Do women get to have their own, name?
No, in Rotary, there is no...
There's
There's
no
no
gender.
gender,
It's
it's
beautiful.
just
Beautiful.
amazing.
All right, take us through briefly an overview of the evolution of Rotary/Rotaract. How did it find its way into Nigeria, and how has it evolved over, the years?
Okay, I would say that Rotary has been part of what trying to find ways to develop our societies. I'd focus my conversation on Rotaract.
Of course,
Okay,
yes.
that's fine.
So,
That's fine.
for in Rotaract in Nigeria, I've been able to work with the different institutions, developing young persons through service to humanity, different fellowship programs to train and nurture and culture these young persons to be better members of society. Yeah.
Okay, so can we be more specific? I don't know if you've been a president of a Rotaract club, or you have worked in certain capacities where you rolled out some activities or functions. What exactly are those activities?
Okay.
In what area? Healthcare, human capital development, and what is the scope in terms of geographical location?
Okay. Current ENUGU as a state is under District 9142. That is Rotaract District 9142. That is, it covers 7 states, the 5 southeast states, then Akwa Ibom and Cross River states. So every month, we have what we call 7 areas of focus, and every month, every Rotary or Rotaract club are meant to carry out projects according to those 7 areas of focus.
It's a mandate.
So
Those are your core values.
So yeah, of course. So every month we have this month is our community and economic development. So different clubs. We have Rotaract Club of Ikulu, Rotaract Club of Rotaract Club of GRA, different
Under
Rotaract
District
clubs
9140.
in Enugu.
In Enugu.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and each of these clubs either come together or individually as clubs. They carry out projects that pertains to the development of economic development of the community. Some clubs, they empower artisans. Some clubs, try to encourage businesses to grow more and give them the platform to thrive. So like I said, every month we'll have our maternal and child health care month. That is August, where different clubs carry out different programs specific to the health of the mother and child.
Okay, so maternal and child
Maternal and
health.
child.
Care month. We'll have our peace and conflict month. We'll have education and literacy, which was last
Okay,
month.
okay.
Different clubs in Enugu, if you noticed, they carried out different educational projects. Some did spelling bees, gave scholarships, projects that pertains and specific to the economic and that specific to basic education and literacy. So that is how we have every month clubs carry out projects according to our areas of focus and areas of service.
All right. So how do you get young people to be involved in what you do?
Okay. I joined Retract as a student in ESUT, right? And I would say that the way I joined, I saw the service they were rendering, I saw the impact they were making, I saw these young persons, the way they carry themselves, then most of Retract members were lost students. And you're seeing these guys dressed in their white and black shorts, and they are picking waste around the school. They are trying to help out. They are seeking out ways to better the society, and you could see that they make a whole lot of difference. So that's what attracted me. So what brings a lot of people, a lot of young persons into Retract is what we do, the service to humanity and the personal development that comes with it.
All right, talking about community development and Retract's mandate of bringing young people into the service of humanity, there's this guiding principle of Retract and Rotary, the four-way test.
Yeah.
Tell us about the four-way test and how impactful is it, or it's just something that you mime every time you come together, or it's something deeper than that? Tell us about the four-way test.
Yeah, of course, it's something deeper than that. Our four-way test is like the strong arm of Rotary, and it's not just it shouldn't just be practiced within Rotarians or Rotaractors. It's something that if everyone should practice. So the four-way test, the first is it the truth? So it only means that whatever I'm doing as a person, whatever you are doing in your business.
Sorry to take you back. I'm so sorry, because when I read it, they said four-way test of
the things you think, say, or do.
The things you think,
say, or do. Yes. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So is it the truth? So before I wide in business with you, in my profession as a medical doctor, as a lawyer, whatever it is you do, as an artisan, as a businessman, watch that thing you're about to do. You think, say, or do. Is it the truth? So it all relates to the way you treat your fellow human beings. And the second one, is it fair to all concerned? So in that place where you are, when you have figured out that you are sure that this thing, this action, this thing you're about to say, that it is fair, that it is the truth. Now, is it fair to all concerned? Is it something that when you do it, you know that it involves everyone else and doesn't count some persons out of the equation? Will it benefit everyone that is concerned, right? Is it something that when you do it, let's take what's happening in our country and the political setting, will what you're about to do, that policy, that decision, is it something that is going to benefit everyone,
all stakeholders,
everyone that is involved in it?
So I'd like to ask, every club, every organization has always had something called a challenge in either implementing their policies or anything. What has been your major challenges?
I would say the challenge has always been able to work with some agencies to carry out what we do. Most of the times, probably you want to do a project and you're going to a community. How accessible is it to what you want to do? Also, because of course we're in Nigeria and the economy, sometimes it's trying to be able to fund all these projects we are doing. So basically, there is no a whole lot of challenges because Rotary is not like every other
club.
It's not an NGO. It's not a human.
I was going to ask.
Yeah,
but it's an NGO.
Is it a club or an NGO?
So it's not an NGO.
Why is it not an NGO? Because they do a lot of NGO
activities, yes.
Grassroots work. But why is it not an NGO?
So Rotary is a service organization.
NGOs are also service organizations.
Yeah, but most of them, they can do a campaign on something. So why Rotary? So as Rotarians, as Retractors,
yes,
we bring ourselves, we don't just bring our money and, we fund stuff. So as in a Rotary Club, it's a coming together of people in different professions, in different careers aspects to bring service to humanity. Now, everybody in that club serves humanity with your career. As a medical doctor, we are going on a medical outreach. You already know you're part of this thing. You are rendering that service. So we don't just bring people; we do it ourselves. If I'm an expert in environment, I already know that in the month of anything that concerns environment, I bring myself, to be part of the service. So we bring our all. So it's not just a humanitarian organization where people just bring money, fund stuff, and they go. We also do capacity building. We have our Rotary Peace Fellowship, where people get trained to be better peace ambassadors in our society. So we have different programs to groom people. So we don't just render service to humanity. We also train ourselves to also be better part of the society. So because when you just help around, but you are not part of what tries to make those changes become sustainable.
Yeah. Okay, so you've mentioned a lot of lofty activities and programs that Rotary and Rotaract, take part in. And I know one particular thing that is important in being able to drive your agenda, especially when it comes to philanthropy and humanitarian services, is stakeholder engagement. Now, you can't say you're going into a community without engaging the stakeholders in the community. Of course, there's the government, the traditional rulers, the religious groups, there are youth groups and things. So how does Rotaract engage stakeholders so that they can have easy access to push the agenda in a particular environment or system?
Okay, I would say before any club carries out any project, we first of all go to those communities. So we don't just carry out projects because we think this community, they will need water, and we'll go there and give them water. We go, so when it's our water and sanitation month, you go to that community, find out what exactly they need.
Like needs assessment?
They can, so they can have a stream that needs to be cleared, and probably they don't know how or have the resources to get that stream cleared. That might be their most important need. But you might think, if you go and dig a borehole for them,
you solved their problem. Yes.
You must have done. You have actually done good, but you've not solved a need. So during that need assessment period is when we get to engage with the stakeholders of those communities. This also helps to make projects sustainable, because when you are done with that project, those communities are able to own that project and help sustain it, because now they were part of the process.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that sustainability, because when you're through with the community, do you do like a checkup, what was it called now? When you go back to revisit, yes. Okay, there are teams that
get to check on projects that have been carried out. We have different public toilets around the city that we have in some markets that were built by different Rotary clubs. They get to go back to check, and that is why, like you said, engaging the stakeholders. So they also help, because now they were part of the process that brought that project. It wasn't like we just came and dropped this and left. They were part of it. So you find out that most of the times you might not really need to go there. You could communicate with them, probably now do a quarterly checkup on the project to ensure that things are still the way you left them.
All right, so if I should ask you a direct question and say, has Rotary and Rotaract, sorry, I'm using it interchangeably, I think they're working for the same purpose.
Yeah, of course.
So if I ask you, has Rotary or Rotaract paid you, I'm guessing 100% you say yes. Now somebody is listening, or would you say no?
No.
So the answer
Yes.
is a resounding yes. And someone is listening to you and saying, what's in it for me? Should I join Rotary? Aside the fact, we do some philanthropy, what's in it for me really? What would you say to that person?
I would tell you that as a young person, Rotaract is the best place for you to develop yourself both in capacity in career, because as a growing person in Rotaract, you get to be mentored by the best in your field, because you get to meet Rotarians who are experts in what they do, who have gone way beyond you, people who naturally, for you to be able to get them to sit with you in a room, it would cost you time and a lot of money, but you get to just meet them casually. And in a Rotary and Rotaract setting, whenever we are having a function and Rotarians and Retractors and in a room, there is nothing like you're a Rotarian, you're a Retractor, everybody
just as a one body.
We are same. So you get to meet them, you get to network, you get to interact with them, and they always open.
Are they fellowships or training? You know,
oh yeah, every club
training
has
programs for your members.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Can you mention one?
We have our district conference. We have peace fellowship trainings. Every club also has fellowships every month, and clubs are always encouraged to find ways to, because people coming out bringing their money, because Rotary, it's a dues paying organization. So people come and they gain value for their time and their money and themselves that they are bringing to the table. So yeah, we have different settings. We organize seminars where young persons are trained and mentored by Rotarians who are experts in different fields.
So how do I join? If let's assume somebody wants to join right now, so what's the process like?
It's quite easy. You could browse myrotary.com or rotary.com. You could browse clubs, or there are different clubs in ENUGU. We have the Rotary Club of Ekulu. They meet at ESBS, Ecstasy at ESBS. We have the Rotary Club of ENUGU, Rotary Club of ENUGU GRA. We have the Rotary Club of New Haven. We have the Rotary Club of Municipal. We have the Rotary Club of
City layout.
that is a Rotary Club. We have the Rotary Club of IMT, Rotary Club of ESUT, of UNEC, of ESUCOM. So we are encouraged to join a club that is close to your proximity. So it becomes easier for you to attend fellowships and connect.
Tell us about your fellowships. What are the activities that actually make up a fellowship? And it's quite interesting that you call it
fellowship. Yes.
Until you come for our fellowships, and I hear you guys sing a lot in your fellowship.
Yeah, of course.
Please tell us.
So each Rotary Club fellowship is quite unique, because we could have a tea fellowship, we could have a dinner fellowship, we could have a fellowship discussing a particular topic. That is why Rotary is a very interesting club. You could have a fellowship talking about mental health, talking about different aspects of life. You can have a fruit fellowship. It's not always
it's
same.
Not like
We always have
variety
something.
to keep people.
Yeah, to keep people coming, to also give value for your time. Yeah. So yeah, that is basically what makes up a fellowship.
Okay. Can you sing one of your Rotary? I'm serious. Sing one of your track songs.
Okay, the song I love so much is this song called My Grandfather's Clock. My grandfather's clock was too large for the shelf, so he stood 90 years on the floor. It was taller than the old man himself, though it weighed not a penny, weighed more. It was bought on the morn, on the day that he was born, and was always his treasure and pride. But he stopped short, never to go again when the old man died.
So what are you not telling?
Yeah, started polio eradication. Started polio eradication since 1985.
Polio has already been eradicated in Nigeria.
Nigeria is now
polio free.
Yeah, but we still have Afghanistan and Pakistan. That there's just two
So how
countries.
was the program?
Yeah, it went really well. It went really well. We have a time we marched around the city wearing banners and
for Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Yeah, trying to a lot of in Rotary, there's nothing like where you're coming from. Funds, a lot of Rotarians and retractors in ENUGU are donating towards eradicating polio.
Even outside the country.
One thing is not enough to say Nigeria is polio free. It's also keeping it at zero.
Keeping it that way.
Zero, yeah. Because if vaccinations does not continue, then definitely we are going to bounce back to where we have a lot of polio cases. So it is to encourage people to get vaccinated, because polio as of now doesn't have any cure, but is so preventable by just a simple.
Right. So I've got to ask someone who is 50 and listening to you and wants to join the Rotary thing, and the person probably didn't join as an interactor, couldn't join, probably can't join, rather as a Rotaractor. Yeah. Can the person go straight to join?
Yeah, of course. There is no
process. You must start from 1, 2, 3.
A lot of people didn't actually follow the process. I didn't join as an interactor. I joined as a Rotaractor. So there are different Rotary clubs. The Rotary Club of Ikulu, Independence Layout, Enugu GRA, Enugu City Center, Enugu City Layout. There are a lot of Rotary clubs you could join.
So at what point are you supposed to join Rotary? Because you're a Rotaractor. At what point would you say, I'm grown now, I can now join Rotary?
Well, for me personally, I would say as soon as possible, I should join Rotary.
Well, thank you very much for your time. This was really an interesting conversation, and I'm sure a lot of people have been inspired as well to want to join this course and help the community as much as they can. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you
very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we'll go for a very short break. When we come back, we'll be rounding up on the new day this day. See you after this. This is still New Day on Signature TV. We'll be moving over to our entertainment news right away. Do stay tuned.
Welcome, it's your favorite channel for exciting and entertaining stories. Get ready for this buzz and fun ride. I am your host, Favor Mwachi. Britain's King Charles praised the skill and diversity of the Commonwealth on Friday ahead of an official dinner in Samoa. Charles and Queen Camilla hosted a dinner and reception for Commonwealth heads of government on the last night in the Pacific Island nation. Representatives of 56 countries, most with roots in Britain's empire, are attending the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting that began in Samoa on Monday, October 21st. Charles is the symbolic head of the Commonwealth, most of them being former territories of Britain's empire. Universal Music Group on Friday released a Spanish version of country music star Brenda Lee's 1958 hit song Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, using SoundLab's AI technology. The song was created with Lee's approval under award-winning Latin music producer Euro Bacureo. Universal Music said that the song demonstrates how AI can be used while respecting artists and ensuring their full authorization.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see every couple tries to stop.
The ethical use of artificial intelligence in the entertainment industry has been a point of discussion after several incidents where AI-generated content raised concerns about copyright infringement on artist consent. The track's vocal was made using SoundLab's Mic Drop, an artificial intelligence vocal plugin which allows users to transform their voice into another voice or instrument. The song used the original music and background vocals while replacing Lee's lead vocals with a newly translated Spanish language vocal, created using the AI vocal model derived from the Country Music Hall of Fame member's voice. Award-winning singer Rihanna has shared her experiences of raising her two sons, Riot and RZA, with her partner ASAP Rocky, expressing her excitement and the unique challenges that come with it. She noted that she never has a dull moment with her boys. Rihanna described the joyful chaos of having young boys, saying, "The boy energy in my house is the best. It's never a dull moment, and I love when they climb onto chandeliers, and I love it when they are literally so scary that I'm forced to have fun. Them running around and me lifting them up is all fun and exercise. It works out for me and our kids." Nigerian singer Ikoshola Sarah Adirigbegigbe, popularly known as Ira Star, has said she cannot date any of her colleagues. She said her dream man is a billionaire who will sponsor her luxurious life. The 22-year-old stated this in an interview with Coco Jones for Rolling Stone's Musicians and Musicians issue. Coco Jones asked, "Would you want to date someone who's in your industry because they'll get it?" Ira Star replied, "In the dream world, it wouldn't be somebody that is in the music industry. Probably just like a billionaire on a yacht in Dubai in a thong." Famous Afrobeat musician Davido has appeared at the 2024 Lagos Fashion Week's runway. In a now trending video on the internet, Davido walks the runway for renowned designer ENUGU Moinye. The singer, who wore a kingly outfit with a staff, cheered the audience by walking the stage twice. ENUGU Moinye, who designed Davido's looks for his traditional wedding in June 2024, also walked the runway during the exhibition. The singer rocked a brown traditional piece from head to toe, paired with a breathtaking walking stick. This is Davido's second time on the runway, following his 2022 debut when he walked for Puma at the New York Fashion Week in a custom tracksuit. Nigerians took to social media to react to his appearance at the fashion event, showing their support for Davido. And that's the news this hour. Do follow us on all our social media handles at Signature TV News for stories that concerns you. See you same time, same station. I remain your host, Favor Mwachi. Stay entertained.
Well, that was entertainment news, and this is the end of not Signature Morning, but New Day on Signature TV. We'll be moving over to our Abuja studio. Of course, New Day continues in Abuja, and we're going to be going to Godwin. Godwin is going to be taking over from us. So my name is still Joshua Oritogu.
And I am Tigiti Agoram. And don't forget, with a new day comes new opportunities. So go out there.
You didn't say it this morning.
Opportunity.
No, say it again. Say it again. I like that your script. Say it again.
Okay, so this is New Day, and we're done for New Day. And don't forget, with a new day comes new thoughts, new opportunities, new possibilities. So go out there. If at first you tried and couldn't succeed, dust yourself up. Try again and again.
I had goosebumps. It's always a good. I like it. Well, Abuja Studio, it's your time.
From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.
Welcome to your show. It is the O&M Sunday Show. I am Obiora Ilo. Mamode is not around today. But doing a lot of things that will help make sure we have a better program next week. Well, there's so much happening around the world, around the country, developments everywhere. But today we are going to be a little selfish because we are going to turn a blind eye to most of these developments and focus on someone who has been described as a cultural icon. She's a singer, an actress, but before all that, she was a journalist and broadcaster. At a point, she became a politician and at other times, administrator. She was a former chairman of the Imo State Arts and Culture Council. Yes, that was it. And very recently, she was the CEO of the Women Development Center. I didn't get that quite right, but we get to know all about her in a moment. I'm talking about the one that has been called the Elegant Stallion, Onyeka Onwenu. I'm sure our cameras, she's already here in the studio, so our cameras will have her. And in a moment, she'll be joining me to talk about some of her travails in her most recent job. And when we do that, we'll move from this serious corner and go to the sofa, where we'll talk about that beautiful side of her that a lot of us will remember, her career in music, and what the future holds for this great, multi-talented Nigerian. So don't go away. Today we are talking about Onyeka Onwenu. And when we return, Onyeka will be joining me here in the studio. Don't go away.
And he's holy, but oh how he loves me. This my God, I wanna praise his name. He is wonderful, yes. He is beautiful, yes. He's so lovely, he loves me so tenderly. This my God, forever the same. Onye bụ nwanne m, Jesus bụ nwanne m.
what she knows best how to do. And she's joining me right away, Onyeka Onwenu. It's our pleasure to have her in our studio.
How are you?
You're welcome.
Thank you. Where should I sit?
Please.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And still looking radiant, still looking, oh my God. You know, the first time I ever saw you was in the early 80s. You just joined the Anambra State Broadcasting Service.
Yes,
you were one of the newscasters then.
Yes.
So a pretty long time. And
very long time.
You changed, but not quite. So what's the secret?
God. Just God and His grace.
Okay, so when you, I mean, I'm sure when you go out, when you're driving, when you go to the airport, everybody's like, Onyeka, how do you feel? Of course, I know you're used to it now. After
I am, but I don't take it for granted. I'm honored, and I thank God for it. Sometimes it does get in the way, but you grin and bear it, because to be so honored, it's a marvelous thing, and you should be grateful for it. Okay,
you know, we'll start our conversation here, and then we'll move over to where we call the sofa, because we're going to, you know, you've become someone with so many departments. You know. So, but, you know, in the last couple of days, you've been in the news. Some say for the right reasons, some say for the wrong reasons. Of course, like the rest of Nigerians, we woke up, we heard the federal government had asked chief executives of
26
parastatals to leave.
Yes.
And that in your own establishment, which is the National Center for Women Development, what we heard was that you resisted going like the others. Some went to the ridiculous extent of saying you had said you sued Mr. President, and you know, back and forth, and then you had your own rebuttal and all that. But here you are.
Yes.
Would you kindly tell us what exactly happened?
All right. We all got the news, and to be honest, I was relieved. It's been two and a half years almost of hard work in the midst of great challenges. No money to work with, and you still have to achieve. But we thank God for all that we were able to achieve. I received the news with gratitude to God. I briefed the management. I was even the one that was consoling people and saying, oh, look, it's not the end of life, and life continues, and I will always, if you ever need me for anything, you know, that kind of thing. And we started preparing the handover notes. And then a lot of noise started filtering through to the office. And we found out that some people had gathered outside. And they had
Was it on the day you got information, or the
No,
next
no,
day?
the day I was handing over,
Okay.
the next day. They had seized my car keys, the key to my official car, which was to take me home. And we asked why. They said, some people said the union. I said, but what's the problem? I never even got a petition written, not one written against me. So what's going on? Maybe I can address the issue. The people started now saying, you need to call the police. And it was a gentleman who is a member of the House from Katsina who actually got so concerned that he called the police. And what was it? That some people had vowed they were going to disgrace me. It originated from the person that became, who was the acting DG when I took over. And we had a lot of issues with him. He works there, his wife works there, his brother-in-law works there. A lot of things were going wrong. We moved him from the estate department because overnight, 3 of our generators were cannibalized. Oh, this kind of sabotage was going on. In any case, he vowed to disgrace me out of office. I was going to walk away peacefully and go home. We managed the situation. Ultimately, about 10 policemen, armed policemen, had to come. And some of the management staff now saw me down to the car, and they were booing, they were calling me names. The
management staff?
They saw me to the car. And the people that had gathered outside, and even along the corridor, we could see some people who were waiting along the corridor for me. For what purpose? I don't know. Some of them were disengaged staff, because some agencies normally send us staff. and then they go. Some of them were outsiders. I couldn't recognize who they were. In any case, we were managing this situation, and I got into the car, and I was going to go home quietly and thank God that, look, this is over. Except that journalists kept calling me and said, oh, we hear you're going to sue Mr. President. We hear you refuse to hand over. Why would I refuse to hand over? There are 26 of us who were disengaged. I mean, I've been there for 2 years and 5 months. I've done my best. And everybody could acknowledge that what we did within that period of time was so much. I mean, how did we do it? We don't know. So why would I want to sue Mr. President? He has the authority to hire and to fire. So what is it? Now I had to now put out my own story, because the names that were being called, Ndi Igbo were being insulted. I was being insulted as an Igbo woman who had come to a place that didn't belong to me. All kinds of things were being thrown at me, and spitting and banging on the car that they are going to do me in. I would have still left it, but then I had to answer these press statements. And by the way, members of the press had been invited, not by me, but by the people who organized this fiasco. The reason that it is good to speak out is it's not the first thing this sort of thing has happened at the center. But people keep quiet. And because we all keep quiet, it keeps happening. And I said, I am proud to be an Igbo woman, as you or anyone else should be proud to be where God put them. I respect everybody and love everybody, but I don't need to be abused because I'm an Igbo woman. That's all. And some people are taking that to mean that I don't like people from different parts of... No, that's not my life. It never has been. I am a proud Igbo woman and a proud Nigerian, and I have served this country. I love this country. Come to think of it, I'm not married to an Igbo man. I'm married a Yoruba Muslim. My children bear Muslim names. How can I hate Yorubas or hate Muslims or hate Ndi Hausa or Ndi Fulani or whoever? I love everybody. This country should be for all of us. When you see something wrong, please say so. Don't try to cover it, because it's Onyeko Nwenu today, tomorrow it will be somebody else.
Okay, before that Tuesday and before the disengagement, were you having issues with members of your staff?
There is nowhere
or like this particular man that you have talked about. Was there any
if you know what the center looked like before I went in there, you would understand that you would have issues. The place was a mess. It was rotten. The guest house had water seeping into the walls. Fire had gutted the place. They hadn't renovated. In fact, you would not put your house help in there. The same with the hostel, the same with the auditorium, the same with the training arts and craft building. A lot of things had gone. Nobody remembered the National Center for anymore. Nigerian women were not getting their money's worth, because these were the women that donated money to have this place built. I mean, the center was down. And within 6 months, when I got there, less than 6 months, things began to turn around. So obviously, there are people who want to maintain the status quo. And you've come. First of all, you, this musician, was the first thing I got to do. I am going to do it well. If I'm unable to, I will give you back your job and go home. And I thought that the issues were so important. I mean, it's about Nigerian women. It's about their development. It's about carrying them along. It's about them having a better life. And I was going to give it my best, and I did. Obviously, there are some people who would not like it, but then there'll be many people who liked it.
Okay, because while all this happened, you know, we are talking to a couple of people, and some of the people on the other side, they have accused you of high-handedness in running the affairs of the National Center for Women Development. They said you didn't carry them along. I don't know how true that was.
That could be if you are insisting that people come to work on time. That could make you high-handed. That could be if you frown at people taking 6 months and staying at home and getting their salary. That could be if people leave for work, come in, go out, if people don't do their work. How do you run a place when people don't show up for work? That's not high-handedness. That is trying to give the Nigerian people their worth. And that's what I try to do. Not carry them along. I probably had more management meetings than anybody else. And people on the management staff would tell you, I never took one decision by myself. I was able to carry them all along, and also the general staff. Imagine that for every DG there would be petitions this high. But for Nyeko, when not one single petition was written, and the staff loved the changes I was bringing there because their welfare was number one. But you will always have trouble.
Are you paying salaries?
No, I don't pay salaries. The government pays them directly. But the people that we pay are the people, the cleaners. And I used to, at the time when we couldn't pay them, I would pay them with my own salary. My own salary comes and I distribute it amongst the cleaners. Because we were owing them for 3 months, no money, 4 months, no money. How can we do that? Go and ask. I used to distribute my own salary for the cleaners. That's how passionate I was about the center.
Okay, when this happened, of course, your, in quotes, opponents said that you exaggerated this name calling, the Igbo woman and all that you were just looking for a way to play the ethnic card. Did you ever have issues like that before this disengagement? I don't have to exaggerate because they brought in the press. And there's a Guardian reporter that Miriam Nembe is her name. And I wish that she would stand up wherever she is if she's hearing this and acknowledge. There were other, I believe I heard they brought channels and they refused to show the footage. Whoever was there, please speak up because it was bad. It was very bad. And yes, we've had things like this happen. At a point, I had to call a town meeting because we got word that there was a fatwa, that they said I was moving away all northerners. And I called a town meeting and said, how could anyone say that? I'm not allowed to hire, haven't hired anyone. Moving away, doing what with them? I don't care if you're my mother, if I'm having to work with you and you're not performing, in order to get things done, I will move you to another department and bring somebody who can perform. I mean, it was within my authority to do that. And I did that for good reasons on the occasions that I had to do that. If I didn't apply myself to the job, the achievements which Nigerians can attest to that took place in the National Center for Women Development, please go there now and check. Those achievements would not have happened. I apply myself to whatever job you give me. I take it seriously. I don't play favorites. I don't have time for that. In fact, I'm harder on you if you are close to me. I am harder on you because you should know better not to disgrace me. So anyone that didn't perform, whether you're Igbo, whether you're whatever, Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, Efik, whatever, I just took the decisions that I had to take. But I found it really sad, and this cuts across the board, not just at the National Center for Women Development. Nigerians in the civil service, there's a lot of slack. People don't come to work. People don't come to work on time. People don't want to do anything. They just go around. You see them standing in groups. I stopped all that. It doesn't matter whether you're Igbo. It doesn't matter whether you're Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, Ibiram. Anywhere you are a Nigerian. If you've been hired to do a job, you're being paid for it, please do that job. Do you think that being a woman contributed to the challenges you had?
But of course. Because many of them, you would ask them to do something, they look you up and down. Like, who is this woman telling me to do something? They had that attitude. And you forget that you're working at the National Center for Women Development. It's not for men's development. Go build your own and go work there. And I am the DG. I happen to be a woman. I'm sitting on this seat. I am going to do my job.
But now that we're talking about it, when you are CEO and you don't pay salaries of your workers.
No, the government pays directly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Does it not affect your control?
No, it doesn't. Why should it? You get paid by government. You are working for government.
So whether they do the job or not, who determines whether the job was well done?
Well, I'm overseeing the job, so I will, together with management staff, I will determine whether the job is done or not. And I never fired anybody. It wasn't, I mean, I don't have the right to fire anybody. I didn't have the right to hire anybody.
But you could discipline.
Yes, well, how do you discipline? You write a query and say, please explain why you have been away from work for 3 months, or why you consistently come to work at 11 o'clock and leave by 3 o'clock. How does the government get its money's worth if this is what workers are doing? Please tell me.
Okay, well, before we talk about, I mean, because for a lot of Nigerians, there's some distraction when you're talking about Onyeka Onwenu. You know, there's so much other things to talk about.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a break in a while,
Yes.
and then move over to the soft side and talk about your music, your career, and all that. But I have just one more question to ask.
Yes.
If you're asked to do another government job, with all that has happened, would you accept it?
I was raised to be a person of integrity and hard work. It was all the example I saw before me. My father died by the time I was 4.5. My mother was 36. I'm the last. The least anyone has in my family is a master's degree. This woman raised us to be hardworking. My father died 2 weeks before he was to be made the Minister for Education for Nigeria. He was the first R&D man in the Federal House. That's my background. The Principal Secretary of Igbo State Union, working with ZCOB. That's my father. So I know nothing else but to apply myself. So anywhere God sends me is where I go. I did not lobby for this job. I couldn't even remember the National Center for Women Development, what it looked like. And I went and studied it. I said, oh, okay, God. And I prayed. And everything I had been doing before then actually prepared me for this job. And I thank God for his grace. I'm happy leaving. What we achieved there is monumental. And nobody can take that away from Nigerian women. It is theirs. So if he provides another opportunity without fear, I will go and I will do what God has called me to do. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
My life rests with him.
Okay, we'll take a break. And when we return in the sofa, we'll get to know more about Onyeka Onwenu. Don't go away.
This thing they call love, not serious affair. Make you think well before you agree. I beg, if you love life, you will plan them well. Oh yes, man. If you love me, you will wait for me. My dear friend, life is there for your front. Take your time, oh, make you no spoil 'em. If you make children, are you ready to care? If you love life, you will plan well. You dey hear me, sir? If you love me, you will wait for me. Having babies, no be joke. You go feed them, you go give them clothes, give them love too. If you never ready to carry the load, why put down for another person's head? Plenty children they say, insurance for old age. Papa said make we marry, Mama said make we born. Plenty children there, but no food to eat, oh my friend. This kind life, not so wahala. For you, dog, if you love me, you will wait for me. Happy birthday.
Nobody will actually forget this song because I remember the build up to that song. I think it was a PR gimmick. There were stories about, oh, Nneka is dating Sonny. Nneka is dating Sonny. Sonny is dating, oh, you know, there was, but we didn't know they were planting all those stories at that time.
No, we did not.
You did it? So, but it was a song that made quite an impact. Yes. You know, it was the era of Planned Parenthood, yes. Planned families, and yes. all that. Yes. And you've done a lot of collabos, you know.
Yes. I started collabo with King Sunny Ade. The first one was Mada Alone in the about family planning. And then we did 2 more. So altogether we did 3 before anybody else started doing all that.
Okay, Nneka, let's go back. You know, I said I met you, I think you just came back from the United States, about that time. And then you were a newscaster and all that. Did you always prepare yourself for journalism, for music, for acting, you know?
I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communications and International Relations from Wellesley College, and did my master's in media studies. So I wanted to be a journalist. But I also knew that I would go into singing. In fact, my mother, who was a renowned songwriter, she wrote Ochie Dike, and an actress too. She was just incredible. She kept saying to me, don't forget your music. But in my family, you have to get your education first before, if you want to be a street sweeper after that, help yourself. So after my education, I knew that I wasn't just going to be a journalist, that I was going to do anything else that I wanted. And of course, starting with music, I released my first album, and the rest, as they say, is history.
It's history.
Then came acting as well. Then came politics, which I never thought I was going to go into. But even though my father was a politician, I never thought. I just decided after people kept coming to me and I was putting many people through school, helping many families, I realized as an individual, I couldn't do more, and I wanted to do more. And I thought, let me vie for local government chairmanship. If I can help my people at that level, I'll be very satisfied. But of course, proverbial level playing ground was never provided. In fact, there were no elections actually held. It was, you know, appointment this and that and that. And I didn't get in. And I had gone back to Lagos and was facing my music before the call to come and serve at the national level came. And through this service, I've been working as I do my shows. I've been doing my shows. It's very difficult to leave. And I've been doing songs. I'm sure AIT has been showing Not Alone, which is the song I wrote for advocacy for the IDPs. It's something that is very close to my heart. In fact, at the National Center for Women Development in December, we trained 50 IDP women. We took on 22 of their children, kept them for 2 weeks, dealt with their medical issues, gave them, working with UNHCR, gave them money, gave them equipment. Many of them, my brother, have set up businesses in Borno. We have a woman who's running a restaurant there and employing other people. They're hairdressers, they're sewing clothes. I mean, to just see how lives can be changed, that's what gives me pleasure. That's what gives me fulfillment. And you can use music as a great tool for advocacy. And it's a joy to be part of it.
You know, a lot of young people, you know, when they see Nneka Onwenu distinguished, fulfilled, you know, known everywhere.
I want to tell people that I'm sweating because the studio is hot. So I'm not going to hide AIT anymore.
Well, a little hiccup.
Okay.
But we apologize.
All right. I'm okay. For that. Just so they know.
You promised me you were not going to do that.
I didn't promise.
Okay, so, you know, they see you and they're in a hurry.
Yeah.
You know, they want to get to where Nneka is today without working for it. And here you are telling us you lost your father at the age of 4.5.
Yeah.
How was it? What sustained you and your family? And what sustained you as a little girl who was fatherless at that early age, and the father who played a prominent role, provided almost everything, and suddenly he was no more?
my father was my soulmate. I was his favorite, and he never apologized for that. I mean, I was treated, I think he spoiled me, to be honest. But then my mother, and I thank God, she's late now, she died at 93. Uche Dike, they don't make them that way anymore. Uche Dike was a marvelous human being, strong woman, who took her children and her family, because she kept the extended family. After my father died, she didn't send her, my father took on nieces and nephews, anyone, or my mother did not send any one of them away. And she raised all of us. And she took us and put us inside Christ. That's the strength that I have. I don't think that you come to this world just for nothing. I think each and every single one of us, we have our sphere of influence. You have yours, you're doing it right now. I have mine. And it's to look at that, the gift that you have been given, and say, how do I use this to make my environment a better place? And that's what my mother taught me. As a little girl, 3 years old, she would take me to sing for motherless babies' homes. And I remember that they would put me on the table and she would stand beside me, and she would have taught me my own part in the song. We used to do these wonderful duets. And that was how I grew up.
You mean you started singing at 3?
Oh, yes, I did.
Did your father hear you sing?
I don't recall. He was a very busy man, but as soon as he got home, it was games. We had games that we played and that nobody else knew. And today, you know, people who know us will call me the names that he used to call me. And I used to get a shilling a day. This was 1956. A shilling was a lot of money. But that was my allowance.
Every day?
Every day.
But mom did not allow you to spend it. Of course.
Never mind mom. All the neighborhood children, my own siblings, everybody would surround and we will all spend the money. Yes.
And you managed, that was a lot of money, right?
That was a lot of money. That was a lot of money.
So you started singing at 3?
Yes.
And how did you keep it? How did you checkmate yourself that you waited for so many years before you exploded? I mean, if you love singing from 3, how could anyone have told you, oh, look, Onyeka, you can't sing until you come home with a degree?
No, I kept singing in school. Every school I attended, but I wasn't doing it professionally. In my family, education was so important. You couldn't be the daughter or son of D.K. Onwenu and not go to school. I mean, it's just unheard of. My father was an educationist. He was the principal of Enitonia High School. Before then, Baptist High School in Port Harcourt. And he went to Furabe when it was very difficult to get into a university. And then Durham University, and then coming back to serve his people. So how could the daughter of D.K. Onwenu not go to school? It would be a shame and it would be a dishonor to my father's name. So that was important. And I loved going to school. I loved acquiring knowledge. I haven't stopped. I keep acquiring knowledge every day. The day you stop, you're finished and it's time to pack it up. But you should keep learning, even from younger people, even from people who are not in your so-called class, have a lot to teach you. There is something called the University of Life. And I love old people. I like to sit with them. Some of my best friends are older women, much older than I am. And they are very good friends. And we will sit and we will gist and we will compare notes and I will learn so much. I also have the younger people and I'm learning so much from them. I have 2 guys in the house they teach me about being young because I had to learn how to operate the computer because they made so much fun of me that I said, look, I'm not having these jokes anymore. So I had to do the right thing. So life is a continuous process of learning, of giving and taking. And no matter what situation you have gone through, count it all good because all things work together for good. Even this last one, I've learned something from it. I've impacted also many people who were close to me and worked with me, have learned a lot from me and I from them. It's all good.
Okay, we'll take a break and
for the sweat.
When we return, Onyeka talked about the guys at home. we need to get to know more about them. Don't go away.
Kama enyene dem kwa kanda basibom mboko no mi enyene dem kwa kanda basibom mboko no mi sai mboko no mi mami yene fo kama abasilo kono kansiyo mboko no mi yo enyene dem kwa kanda basibom mboko no mi sai.
I'm grateful, Daddy. I'm grateful. Makifeni ni nemelo nunua. I'm grateful. Magalumu na matego siya sometimes. I'm grateful. Oh nye dikage papa. I'm grateful. Oh no mame. I'm grateful, Daddy. Oh so grateful. Oh so makifeni ni nemelo nunua. I'm grateful. Sometimes I'm grateful. Oh yeah, I'm grateful.
Mo dúpẹ́ o, mo wá ṣọpẹ́ o. Mo dúpẹ́ o, fóore tí bàbá ṣe. Ó fún mi láyọ̀, ó tún ṣẹ́gun fún mi. Òṣùbà rere o, bàbá mo wá dúpẹ́ o.
Abunda kaya mene nagode kaya fetu nubina anya ubengiji nagode nagode Yesu nagode abunda kaya mene nagode kaya fetu nubina anya Almasihu Sabonga Jesu Sabonga Jesu Sagodomisa Sagodomisa Uno Musa Sabonga Jesu Ageko Fanana We Sabonga Jesu Sabonga Jesu Sagodomisa
In any language, in any way you want to, just say thank you to this great God of ours, merciful and kind and sweet and loving to his children. The Yorubas would say, Eshe, Jesu, Edo, Osanobwa, Obilu. Njibo, Dalu Chineke, Imela, Ausa, Nagote, Yesu, Urobo, Ogene, Wakobio, Abasi, Sesongo, that's Efe. And Zulu would say, Siabonga. Even the French would say, merci.
I think that this song, Praise, was also in your collaboration tradition because, we kept seeing a lot of people.
You brought a lot of young people in to teach them about the art of using your talent for other people, for God, for the community, for society.
I remember the 100-year song that you did.
The centenary song.
Yeah, the centenary song.
That's an incredible.
Yes, I like the classical
just an incredible
background.
Song, just an incredible song.
Who wrote the song?
I did.
Including the instrumentation, the arrangement?
No, it's the producer that does the
that
arrangement for
that was great.
Beautiful. Wale Oni is just an incredible producer. But when I say I wrote it, I really am claiming something that God did, because I write in a peculiar way. I pray and I download from God. I know people will find it hard to believe until they actually see me in action. That's how I write songs. The songs come. And I quickly have to record it as it comes, because if I don't, I will forget it. The same thing with Not Alone. The producer has to say, no, bring a mic, or please just record whatever she's singing. And after that, I have to go back and listen to it and now fill it up and learn the song myself. That's just how it happens.
Okay, just before we took the break, I went to an area you'd like to protest. You protested.
Yes, I did.
And a lot of Nigerians, a lot of them love you though. But some criticize you because they say you've built this giant wall around you and your family.
I'm just a private person.
They hardly know anything about your
I'm
family.
a private person.
They know
something's bad.
They know you have kids, but they're never going to talk about it.
No, my kids are very independent. First of all, we don't answer the same name. They answer their father's name. Me, I answer my father's name. But they even don't like you to know, because they want you to recognize them for what they bring to the table. Then after that, you can know that Onyekong. They don't like to use the name to get things. No, they want to work for it. And I don't know how they got this marvelous idea, but I'm loving it, because they are going out and striving and making efforts on their own and not saying, oh, I'm Onyekongwenu's son, do this for me, do that for me. I absolutely agree with them, and I love them.
But why don't you like talking about their father?
When you meet me after this program, I will talk to you. Meet me one-on-one, and I will tell you all about it. But I don't want to be assessed, or rather, I want my work to speak for me. I don't want to be categorized because of who I'm married to or not married to, or whether I'm married or not married. No. I am Onyeka.
Some people think it has
Adamazi. Adamazi.
Some people think it has to do with women liberation.
No. It's just, call it women's lib. I don't like to deny or confirm. Call it anything you want. But please, I want to be judged for what I do as a person, not whether I am married or who I'm married to. And, everybody likes their privacy. So I just don't want, is she married or is she not? I am just me doing my work, number one.
But again, no matter how much we complain about it, you've turned out to be one of the few Nigerian superstars who got married, kept their marriage, kept their family.
I'm not even going to go there.
How did it work?
So change
how
the
did
subject.
How did it work?
You are cornering it from another way. Who said I'm married? Who said I'm not married? He's trying to corner it another way.
Okay, well, I won't push it. But have you found love? Did you find love?
Obviously, for me to have these two boys, I would have had.
Okay, so you have played a lot of, you've made a lot of effort mentoring younger musicians, both men and women. What informed, this determination that you must work with the young ones?
Why not? To encourage them, to lend a helping hand. There's no musician who has called on me who is serious that I haven't equally reached out to, shared my own experiences, given advice, and given a little bit of a helping hand. That's something I do passionately, because the young shall grow, and it's what God enables you to do, to deposit something in someone else and not just hold the knowledge to yourself. How do you help society that way? There was a question you asked me earlier about young people thinking that you just jump in, and what I didn't share with you, and I share with those that I mentor, is the fact that my father, having died, my mother was 36 when she lost her husband. I was 4.5, and my mother struggled and did everything that she could. When I got to the US to go to school, Sometimes I had 3 jobs doing it in order to help looking after myself. And I worked as a dishwasher in an old people's home, in hospitals, in restaurants. You work as a babysitter. You work as a sales girl while going to school. I had a scholarship from Wellesley College for my BA, but I bought my own clothes, looked after myself during the summer, bought my own books. For my master's, I didn't have a scholarship. I paid my way. I was working then at the United Nations and going to the New School for Social Research in New York in the evenings. And I had other jobs at the side to help myself. I didn't find it demeaning that I was washing dishes. Don't look at Onyeko when and think she suddenly arrived. I didn't think, oh, my father was such and such, my mother, and here I am. No, I just stayed focused, and that's one thing God has given me the grace to be able to do. You can be doing anything around me. That's where I want to go. That's what I want to achieve. That's precisely what I'm going to do. So that helped me.
You keep your eye on the ball.
On the ball.
All the time.
All the time. And that helped me growing up. So you now see me and you think, oh, she's made it, she's this and that and that.
And it was such a smooth road.
No, it was not.
There was so many narrow paths.
Oh my goodness. But I thank God for loving me and protecting me, because there are so many other ways you could have gone, but he kept me really, really focused. So I'd like to share this with young people and say, don't look at today and what you're going through. That's not your life. Learn whatever lessons you need to learn, and that would help you to grow into whom God has made you to be. Just remain focused.
Okay, I would apologize, but I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say you are a snob, you are arrogant, and is that true? Or are there things you do that will make people, you know, have that kind of impression?
I'm actually a very shy person and really quite boring. I'm the sort of person who'd see me in the village, you know, breaking canal. You'd see me in the village, you know, breaking canal. You know, I'm like my father. My father will sit with the old women and cut oranges and treat everybody's wound and that sort of thing. That's me. I work in the garden. I'm boring at home. In fact, when you're talking about Onyeko, my children look at me. That's our mom. Is this one that we see all the time? I said, Mom, why are people always raving about you? I said, no, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't understand.
Just leave it. No, I'm not a snob, and I'm not. Far from it. Just self-respecting, that's all.
Okay, you worked out how you would survive in this very unfamiliar world, and people may assume it's the other way. I think it happens. Yeah. Looking forward, you know, if anybody's talking about music today in Nigeria, they will talk about you.
Hey, that's good.
What do we have to take out? I mean, some people have said we have to take out the erotic scenes we see today in videos, the nakedness,
it's too much.
The nudity.
And it's always the women doing the nakedness, and I wish the men could do the nakedness and the nudity. So let us all see them too.
It will be balanced.
It will balance. But it's the women.
So what should we add? What should we do, you know, to move? I mean, it's become a big industry. Showbiz in Nigeria.
It's become pornographic at this point. It is becoming pornographic. And I think organizations like DSTV, Mnet should really watch it. It's become pornographic. How do you put on the TV just innocently in your house with children around? You know, I used to say to my brother, close your eyes, close it. They make a joke of it. Close your eyes, because I couldn't run fast enough to go and turn that thing off. And I'm thinking that, hey, we're having a nice program, and I like to watch TV. I like to watch what they're watching. And suddenly you see all this. I go, close your eyes, close your eyes. I say, Mom is coming, close your eyes, close your eyes. I shouldn't have to do that. That is very bad. And I think that we have to look into it as a society, because the impression, the image, what it's creating in the minds of young people is that everything is all about sex, nudity, you know, sell your body. And we're seeing the results: trafficking, prostitution, drugs, all that. It's all tied in together. It's tied to the pornography that you're seeing on TV.
So we should take it out.
We should take it out. Or lessen it a little bit.
Are you going full blast now? back to entertainment? You were there while you were doing what you were doing.
I never left it. Hello.
247.
I really would like to do more. You know, my last effort in movies was Half of a Yellow Sun.
Yes.
That was a meaty role. I absolutely enjoyed it.
Beautiful film.
I'd like to have more roles like that, but they don't come around every day. But there are many things.
Is it because of the pay? The pay is not
the
good
pay
enough?
wasn't even that good. I did it from the passion of my heart. The story was just wonderful. You know, it's time for Nigeria. Let's try doing things about our history. Let's teach our history to younger people. Let's not put things away. Don't deal with it until it springs up and bites you in the face. Let's talk. Let's open up. This happened, that happened. Let's teach the children. Because having witnessed the Civil War, I don't think I want to go through that again. I don't think I even wish it
on anyone,
to go through that again. People that are agitating now, let's listen to them. There's a reason they're agitating. I don't really believe that they want to go to war. But let's listen to them. If someone has a grievance, allow them to air those grievances. Let's treat each other with respect and honor. Let's accept ourselves for who we are. We are equal partners in this country. If we begin to deal with each other in that way, there will not be another war. Nigeria would be a better place. This is a wonderful country that God has blessed us with.
Well, we'll take it home. Let's listen to those that are shouting. They want to be heard. And that way we can avoid another war. Thank you, Onyeka, for coming on our show. I don't know how to thank you with all the inconvenience and all that. But I have this little gift, something you can put on your table.
I love coffee in the morning.
Yes, and use it for coffee from time to time.
And I'll be thinking of your show. Thank you.
Yes.
And the sweating that I was making.
It will happen again. I'm sure you'll be back. When you have a new
broadcaster, these things happen.
It happens once in a while. And that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, I enjoyed spending this 1 hour with the elegant stallion, Onyeka Onwenu. I am Obiora Ilo from Abuja in Nigeria. Let's do it again Tuesday night. Thanks for watching.
So worst because the situation on ground is unbearable for the common man. If you move around now, you look at people are stranded. The cost of transportation between just yesterday and today has skyrocketed over 100% to 150%. So, and it's making things very difficult because the economy is already harsh, and with the increase in pump price, it's making things very difficult for people to move around. If the price of fuel is affordable, the driver will not have choice. If one person even want to try and maybe take advantage of other Nigerians, there will be some other people that have the interest of the common man at heart, and they will just do what? They will carry the vehicle at the reduced price, that they will still make gains to take home and to take care of themselves also.
From all the way from Mandala to here is 1,500 naira. And even when we are going back now, the same price they will tell you. Early morning, every morning, I come out in Dankogi, Zuba, to enter motor to come to Bega. Each car you stop, they will be calling 15, 12, 13. And before I will be able to get the one that will take me down here, it will make me to come to my market late. So I really need government to know what to do about this issue of fuel, because I believe by the time the fuel is down, the price is down, every other things will be down, and so things are very, very difficult and hard for us. Many people are dying because of hunger.
The cost of transportation in Nigeria is worrisome. In fact,
is very, very worrisome because as it is right now, daily the cost of transportation is rising, and the places we used to go before without, with our car, we can, in fact, we have dropped our private car, joining the private public transport, and yet it's not still convenient for us. So it's very worrisome.
It's not nice because we've been coming 1,000 naira from Buhari to Bega. Today is 1,500. So suddenly 500 naira increase. And I think if government should do something, at least take it back in a normal range that everybody can afford to come, because I know that there is much people in there that wanted to come here and do something, but because of the transport, they could not. So please, I am coming in here every day. I have to reduce my coming in here, because if I can come here 5 days in a week, now I'm supposed to reschedule it 2 days in a week.
The price of from here now to that place is 1,500. So you see everywhere the bus stop, people are just there hanging out, and the price of things is very high. And even price of commodity to buy things, not to talk of transportation, everything is now high in Nigeria. So we don't even know what to do. But now I'm not seeing any light, because what is happening now is that the situation is getting more critical, and we don't even know what will be the next thing.
The prices of things have gone up. From here to Madelai now is 400 naira in the government bus, but private buses are 1,500, 2,000, and the rest of the things. Prices of bread have gone up. You go to Buka and eat night, has gone up. So everything is going up every day, and we don't know what to do. The government policy is skewed. It favors the rich rather than the poor man. The middleman is deteriorating, going down every day. The poorer one are becoming more poorer than everything. See, everybody's begging now. I begged somebody money to come to this place this morning, and I don't have money to go back. So even you journalists can give me money, I will even accept it so that I can go back to my house.
The high level or increase of unemployment is individuals' fault. Majority of the people blames it on the government. Because I look at it that majority of us went to school to study how to be employed and not to become employers. You understand what I'm saying now? So a situation whereby you are being programmed or being worked on in such a way that you believe that once you finish your education, there is a government job such as white collar not job awaiting you, then we are deceiving ourselves. But I am trying to tell us that if you went to the school to acquire knowledge and put the knowledge into work, it will benefit both you, the society where you are, and the entire nation.
The high level of unemployment in Nigeria is alarming, like it's mind-blowing. It keeps getting worse by the day, like people are getting unemployed on a daily basis. You see students graduating from school, like no work, no job. So I won't say it's anybody's fault. Individuals have to put in effort to mitigate it. Then government, it is their duty to make sure that there is a way that students or graduates should be employed. And I think the ways to mitigate it or to make it a bit easy for everybody is to encourage entrepreneurship. Encourage entrepreneurship is very, very important. It's very, very necessary for people to be equipped to have what to do, a kind of handwork, anything that will make someone to be engaged in order to earn money for him or herself.
High rate of unemployment in Nigeria, first is caused by we the Nigerians. And why? Because we already know that there are no jobs out there. So why then do we depend or lean on getting white-collar jobs when there are none? The federal government is not doing anything to help us and to, to give us something meaningful. let me just stop there to give us something meaningful. When you go out there, outside the country, definitely there are jobs there where you be able to fetch money for yourself and fend for your family. But here, it is well.
High level of unemployment, obviously is on the leadership now. It's very, very obvious because in a country that everything, the consumption rate is higher than the production rate, what do you expect? Obviously unemployment will be very high. So I guess one of the ways, and we all know it and the government knows it, is just that the guys who, made the country this way are benefiting from it. So basically it's just to increase the productivity of the country. Look at places like Aba that produces, the kind of, despite the, financial instability they have, they can still produce such, well-crafted work, creative work. For them to do that kind of thing, imagine if money is pumped into that area. A lot of things can be done. For instance, Peter Obida, his convoy is made of Innocence, he bought Innocence cars, his convoy. It's because, he's trying to increase the productivity of Nigerians. And I feel if we focus on that area, things can be done to, make the country better.
Well, I believe the high level of unemployment is basically, let's say the government, because first off, the government isn't providing enough opportunities, both in learning opportunities and job opportunities for people. People actually go to school in this part of the world because we are very educated people here in Nigeria. But due to the lack of opportunities and due to no care for whoever you are, no matter what position you have attained, both in school and outside school, nobody gives an actual F about you. And this makes people just want to give up entirely. Even if they have the chance to create job opportunities, they are just looking at both the cost of the process of creating that job opportunity and how it will actually, if they can actually succeed in the business or in whatever they're about to do. And if you look at the downside of things, it doesn't add up and they just give up and go back to the whole so-called unemployed youth and the population of individuals that are unemployed in the country. The unemployment rate is actually at the highest at this point. Even after going to school, after serving for the national country and all that, you still don't even have a chance to succeed or even get a chance to start from somewhere. People are actually sidelining you because they don't see any value in what you bring to the table, as they say. But then again, we look at how the whole economy is structured. It's only the rich that keeps getting richer while the poor keeps getting poorer. Nobody wants to help the other person to rise up to a particular position, and nobody is willing to actually give people the chance, because I believe if everyone is given a chance, we can make things work in this country. But at this point, somebody is giving a chance and nobody cares to do anything meaningful. Everybody's just giving up, literally, and it's causing so much unemployment, so much chaos, so much poverty in the land. Nobody gives a hell about anything. If anything goes to chaos, it's fine. If anything goes well, it's fine. We're all just too relaxed about the whole situation and nothing is adding up.
Increment of tariff is a very serious issue. This business I'm managing here now, formerly a tariff of 10,000 naira will sustain me 2 weeks and above. But a tariff of 10,000 naira now doesn't take me up to 4 days. If you can see the fridges now functioning, only 2 fridges functioning now. Because I switch other ones off. Because immediately I on all the fridges, the tariff of 10,000 naira will not take me up to 2 days. It's affecting the business. The profit margin we are making in the business goes to the tariff.
It's affecting me badly because now that they've reduced everything to 4 point something kilowatt per 1,000 naira, is really affecting me badly. Before, 5,000 naira will go a long way, like 2 weeks. But now, even 2 days, it will be shaking. So it's affecting me badly.
Me personally, it's very hard on me because I can't use most of my equipment at home, like especially my cooker. If I want to cook, like I had to wait till I'll be able to buy like charcoal because I can't use light anymore. I can't iron my dress, I can't iron my uniform, nothing at all. So like the increment is really hard. Mostly on me. I don't know about other, but me, Yeah, it's very hard. And I believe I'm not just the only one. It's affecting everybody. Because if it's only me, I'll say, okay, let me try someone else. But because it's affecting me, I believe that there are so many people to under the kind of my categories that is also affecting. So the increment is way too much. So if the government should please help us to bring down not just the tariff and everything happening in the society, it's way bigger than us.
Let me start with the business. Okay, so I can remember when we do like 5,000 and it will last for a month, almost a month. But now 5,000 naira is not going anywhere. Like most at times you have to off some things. Like now our fan is currently off. The two iron, one is off and one is on because we are managing the meter. Even in my house is like I used to manage some things at home. I really don't own everything at the same time. It's either I'm making use of the fridge and my iron is not on. Maybe the iron is on, the light bulb is not on, and the rest of it. That's how I used to manage it. So the price is really not going to my budget. Is way too much.
The worstest thing where government will do for adding money, putting another tariff on top of the one where they pay. That's what they do for fuel also. Because this thing where they see now, as they don't add this one, they plan to add another one. And that another one where they add, they go see add another one. Now so they go add. The country go see collapse. Because people who are inside the country are not happy. Everybody they vex. There won't be say people there for the country who they pay the money. But now we were there inside the suffer land. You know, poor masses. Now we be the poor masses where they talk about. So now we the suffer land. But anyway, no problem. We thank God for that.
It's really affecting because as I'm a fashion designer, and in terms of current, the current is not even good enough to carry my machines. Now in terms of the machines we use, it's not able to carry. Some of the time we have to off some machines so that it can reach the other machine to use, and all those things, you know, based on the economy of the situation of Nigeria now, we have to work hard to gain more profit and income. So by the time the electricity is no more there, or it's not giving us what we want to gain the profit we want, it's going to affect us very, very well. So I will wish and appeal that we do something concerning the electricity.
The future belongs to whoever can see possibilities before they become real. If you can see possibilities in things, and I saw a lot of possibilities, I could see what the Akwa Ibom need at the time. And thank God, at least 90% of the cases I was right. The direction in which I took Akwa Ibom is the direction they are still following today. In spite of some of the obstacles that I met in the way, and I just decided, if I must give you an example, I decided that the modern world cannot do without electricity. And the things I wanted to bring to Akwa Ibom needed electricity. So I decided that I must give Akwa Ibom 24-hour constant power. It was a struggle. It was a real struggle because of the kind of federal, quote, I put that federal in quotes, arrangement that we have, where the center literally dictates everything that the states can do and cannot do. I was told I could not build an independent power plant. Why would I not be able to build an independent power plant? Because power is centralized. We centralize too many things, and that's where we are backward till today. I will say that over and over again. And that may be why you say I'm still relevant even in national politics, because we have not yet got back to the position. And I say get back to, because we were there before. We started on that journey, then we was abruptly stopped and changed. We have not yet got back to the position where federating units can be reasonably, not reasonably, in fact, very independent, able to manage themselves, able to manage their resources, able to manage their own security, able to manage their future with whatever resources they have, and then sustain with whatever they contribute to the federal. We have to change the concept of this federation because it means people that want to develop cannot develop because the federal government does not always see the things that the way the states see them. The better example, or more even more is this power business. I wanted to build, we were consuming 40 megawatt of power. So I went to Lea Lemoka, who was the minister for power at the time. And so I want to build 60 megawatt. He laughed at me and said, no, Your Excellency, you want to build a power plant for Akwa Ibom? Please make it a lot larger than that. I said, why? We're only consuming 40. He said, there's something called suppressed demand. You're only consuming 40 because that's all that's available to you. That if you had a lot more than that, you will consume 2-3 times that much. So in the end, I took his advice. I built a power plant of 191 megawatt capacity. And the federal government looked at me and literally laughed because immediately I finished that, they brought a law to say if you generate, you cannot distribute. I'm convinced, as I speak to you, that if I was allowed to go ahead and distribute that power and boast that Akwa Ibom is the first state in this country to give 24-hour constant power to every corner of the state. Believe me, there will be electricity all over Nigeria now because every state will have tried to imitate it.
mangalo choko ojike ojike iko nara ibende wakade jumala nyijo kada yo chakumerolo.
morning and welcome to New Day on Signature TV. It is a beautiful day, of course. You can go to all of our social media platforms at Signature TV News to get all the information that is going on today. As well, I'm not going to be doing this alone. My name is Joshua Risogan. In the studio with me,
I am Chigi Chiagaram, your favorite, as always.
Why are you the favorite?
I am just the favorite. Blow your own bigo.
No. It's not about that. I just want to understand why you are the favorite.
I'm just the favorite.
I'm not going to have this.
I feel so that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
You know what they say? If you don't blow your trumpet, it gets rusted on you, sir.
Word. I have to take things down.
Good morning, guys.
Well, on an interesting one today, the All Progressive Congress has withdrawn from the upcoming Kano local government election, according to the chairman of the Kano State Independent Electoral Commission, Professor Sani Malufashi. He announced the party's decision during a news conference on Friday. He said that the commission is proceeding with the election following State High Court ruling that directed the commission to conduct the election on Saturday. This ruling follows the Federal High Court in Kano halting the council elections, citing the alleged illegal constitution of Kansek. Malufashi stated that only 6 political parties, including the NNPP, the ZLP, Accord Party, NRPM, AAC, and AA, are participating in the election. The Kansek chairman insisted that the commission is conducting its activities within the bounds of the law. Well, it's an interesting one.
Indeed.
What do you think on this before we move on?
Oh, as usual, I normally like to sit down and watch how things unfold, especially when it comes to politics in Nigeria. So let's just sit back and watch how things actually unfold.
Well, no problem. Coming up next is the newspaper headlines and review. Do stick around.
It's still New Day on Signature Television, so thank you so much for still staying with us. Don't forget to go over to our social media handles at Signature Television Official on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Welcome to Newspaper Review and Headlines. If you've missed out on some of our discussions in the course of the week, well, you're in luck because we're going to be giving you highlights on them, and of course we're going to be reading out and discussing some of the stories that have been making the rounds across Nigerian dailies. First up,
we'll be moving
Vanguard.
to the Vanguard.
Yes.
And just above the mass we have why Nigeria will continue to import petrol coming from investigation. You can find this on the page 8.
And still on Vanguard, just above the mast, Falana demands reassignment of Rivers Assembly case to Port Harcourt.
And just below the mass we have World Bank to Nigeria NYSE, your gold mine, leverage on it from industrialization.
And Chuks Iluegbunam to go on, only truth shall make Nigeria free.
How I was sold into slavery after the gods rejected me for sacrifice. You can find this on the page 15.
Igbo is easily subdued at home these days on page 12 from Saturday Vanguard with the writer, how viral video from unknown face shot. I'll take that again. How viral video from unknown face shut down Southeast for 2 days.
Ondo Guba, Makinde, PDP Southwest leaders harvest the campees from APC, SDP, and others.
All right, and finally, on the Saturday Vanguard, 8.6 million Lagos residents hypertensive, 3.5 million obese coming from the government, found on page 6 of the Saturday Vanguard.
And moving over to the Saturday Punch, just below the mast, we have crashed helicopter, Nama enlists Cameroon, others over missing bodies, victims unveiled, with the riders, families, friends mourn deceased NNPC workers.
And for important stories, just beside the Saturday Punch mast, spin doctors, entertainers who have perfected art of marketing. Losing 2015 election, tough moment in my life coming for Jonathan. From Jonathan, Nigerian stunned beggars as biting hunger ravages communities, and helicopter sale reps panel indict ex-aviation minister Sirika.
Banditry allegation, how Matawali survived cabinet's reshuffle. And finally, on the Saturday Punch, we have marketers imported 42 million litre petrol set to arrive.
And on Weekend Trust, just below the mast, how traders' invasion obstructs learning at 84-year-old school on page 16.
What Tinubu must do to fix failing policies, coming from Bala Mohammed. And with the riders, why not problem have been complex. I pitied Wike after Atiku's snob, but we've parted ways. President, FCT minister behind PDP crisis. Amazing. I'm still undecided about 2027 presidency.
Why you say why the pause here? It's as if
it
it's
was,
something you wanted to say and someone has actually come out to say it for you.
And I'm going to wait for that person to continue that conversation today.
Absolutely. So Kano to go ahead with local government poll today on page 29 and then on page 43. We didn't ask Tinubu to remove subsidy from PMS coming from IMF. Interesting.
Interesting headlines today. Tinubu, Akpabio, Abbas, Barrow, Atiku, governors attend Senator Gojei's daughter's wedding.
And finally, on the Weekend Trust, I don't own a house in Abuja, coming from former FCT Minister Muhammad Abagana on page 21. And despite several contract awards, Jos Saminaka Road remains deplorable on page 12.
Reforms. This is coming from the Guardian Weekend. Reforms just above the mass. Reforms. World Bank, IMF face backlash amid rising inflation and petrol costs.
There you have it again. Nigerians are in a haste to reap from Tinubu's economic reforms, from Professor Adeni.
Very interesting, but we just want to see.
Let's keep that in the freezer. We'll get to it.
And you can find this on the page 8 and 9. Fear of implementation as rollout of new basic education curriculum on the way.
And finally, on The Guardian, Oralusi commends creation of Regional Development Ministry. And finally, why are they scared of EFCC?
Moving over to the Saturday Independent, we have a very disheartening and scary one here. We have how core member mysteriously disappeared in Rivers. With the rider, police intensify search, question suspects.
And two other news stories just above the Saturday Independent mast. Ruling Osolo family members should demonstrate maturity and allow peace to reign, says Regent. And IPOD members form political wing, seek end to violence on page 5 of the Saturday Independent.
And just below the mast, we have new minimum wage. Why many states may not meet October deadline. With the rider, 15 states yet to pay 30,000 naira as at February 2024. Coming from CSO, bureaucracy, lack of structure, delay payments in some states coming from federal civil servants, new wage, a tall dream for private sector coming from industrialists, and finally we have expert warns of worse spiraling inflation at
The best of me is gone, says Mike Dada at a wife's burial, with a writer Mbudukwe was to complete her PhD in 2 months. Coming from AFRMA boss.
Well, 8.6 million Lagos residents diagnosed with high blood pressure, 3.5 million with obesity. You can find this on the page 3, and this is coming from the health commissioner with the rider government to conduct free screening for 800,000 people.
And finally, on the Saturday Independent, Timmy Frank condemns scrapping of Niger Delta Ministry and seeks reversal.
Moving over to this day, just below the mass, we have Jonathan. Losing 2015 election was an emotional moment, where the rider says he felt as if the whole world was against him.
And above this day mast, weakening purchasing power pushes preference for second-hand goods, with riders. Nigeria's high out-of-school children worries World Bank. IMF says reforms causing hardship, but necessary for sustainable growth.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on this yet. So federal government launches Export Skills Acquisition Center to boost non-oil exports.
And finally, on this day, Dangote Refinery ships first petrol cargo by sea to Lagos.
Moving over to the Saturday Tribune, just below the mass, local government election, battle of courts in Kano, where the rider State High Court gives go-ahead for today's poll. APC kicks, police vow to enforce peace.
And above the Saturday Tribune mass, Olubadan raises alarm over increasing number of Almajiri out-of-school children found on page 2. And Tinubu cannot pauperize or take all the taxes and still not be responsible for anything. This is coming from Adebayo, an ex-SDP presidential candidate, found on page 13 of the Saturday Tribune.
And hardship on page 8. Kwashoko back in Nigeria. Experts raise alarm.
Okay, still on the Saturday Tribune, Yoruba Group asks Obasanjo to support Tinubu with a rider. Nigerian president has no plan, says ex-president. All right.
Ondo governor poll, we have Governor Makinde, Southwest PDP leaders receive defectors from APC, SDP, and others.
And finally, on the Saturday Tribune, court remands Ondo man for macheting wife to death on page 3.
Wow.
That's on very sad notes.
And that is all on the newspaper headlines today. We'll be moving over to the newspaper review, and in the studio with us to do this is Chris Maduka. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Joshua.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
I know where you are. Yes, you almost called.
Yeah, Chigi. I am emphasizing Chigi. Chigi, yes, Chigi. I have not forgotten.
Looking good as usual with your eagle feather. I mean, your traditional Igbo heart. You know, you're the epitome of the traditional Igbo man. And I'm thinking, one of these days we'll get the Oja players to be playing Oja behind you.
Wow.
Walking. I mean,
it would be so nice.
Yes, it is.
You know, in African proverb says, you don't have water in your mouth to blow the fire.
Okay.
So even to play the flute, you need the food in your stomach.
You need energy.
Because they say the man who plays the flute has the liberty to also wipe out his nose, to wipe his nose. So you don't engage a flute player when Nigeria is suffering hardship and hunger. So
yeah, I get where you're
so let's solve the first problem. Once we are out of hunger and hardship, we can go back to the old days where even some state governors have flute players who wake them up in the morning, and the band boys who play for breakfast. They have people who play for afternoon lunch, and the ones who send them to sleep with music and all fanfare.
Yeah.
So, but you know, we are losing so many of these things to hunger and hardship.
Talking about hunger and hardship, IMF has come out to say it is not our fault, though. The harsh economy and economic policies is not our fault. Joshua, if you could help me find out the national daily that
we don't know.
What are your
So
thoughts?
whose fault? Now,
exactly my fault.
You know why I'm laughing? We said, once you have agreed to befriend a woman who has broken back, you will share with the responsibility of carrying
her
up and down. IMF, World Bank, you guys have offered to be chief advisors of Nigerian economic system. You can't come at this time to deny anything. You are complicit. As far as I'm concerned, you give advice with one mouth, you take 1 million with your... I don't understand. When it's getting bad, you tell us so. But it's very clear, the government have one way or the other said, they're following you. And you've come out to tell us our president's policy will mature in 15 years. I mean, if you don't know about this, if you don't know about the plan, what do you know? If you know the plan, you know when it will mature. So what have you advised? Let them come out and tell us what they have advised. Take it on the one side, what you have advised Nigerian government to do, minus it from what you didn't advise them. Put it in the public domain.
Let's know what to think.
So all these, today you hear this, that you will not remove them from the being complicit of Nigerian situation.
In addition to that, you're talking about the advice that they have actually put out and the ones that they didn't, having a balance. Look at what Saturday Vanguard carried. Saturday Vanguard says, World Bank to Nigeria, and I'm thinking this is an advice again, an economic related advice. Says, NYSC, your gold mine, leverage on it for industrialization.
We have said that on this desk several times. If you remember, there was a morning I was saying, what? On the average, a typical Nigerian university churns out every season. Let's be an average. A typical Nigerian churn out 5,000 graduates. Ties it by number of universities.
Federal,
and these some states, because of security, they go to some states, but these are young, virile Nigerians with energy, ideas. You put them together, all you teach them is attention, stand still, correction, and then you set them to go. When they started the experiment of NYC farms, go between ENUGU and Abakaliki, it's a massive land where NYC were planting rice. NYC. It's no more. So they depend, you see, when we say, I don't know what do we have in our brains. We still need World Bank and IMF to tell us this. This is low-hanging fruits. Young Nigerians, even when we are talking here, say, do not even bother to send them anywhere. Put them in one place. Make it comfortable. Pay them allowance every 1 year. They pass through there. They produce agbado. They produce ewa. All this. And then which other one? And we have it in abundance.
But Chris, what you just explained now, lofty, beautiful. Are we sure this is exactly the same line, the same thought line that the IMF and the World Bank?
Whichever way we are talking about, if you think along their line.
It's a gold mine. They have not explained to us exactly what they mean.
When somebody say you have gold mine, start with the low-hanging one and get to. Because most of them, when you have put Nigerian graduates of this caliber together, let them feel free to come up with ideas.
Ideas.
Among them, they will develop even ITs. Some will write programs things that will change Nigerian agricultural system.
I'm just saying, I love what you're saying, and I get it. I'm just saying, is the World Bank really for us? Are they saying all this because they love us? Or there is a little bit of an opportunity for
Nobody
them
loves
there?
you more than there was a guy who said
It's a
that
little bit of
a guy has
opportunity
a
for
face.
them there.
He has a face only his mother can love. Can like. If somebody has that face. Nigerians, we have a face only Nigerians can like. There's no free meal. Why are we at this age, 64 years, looking for who will advise us and who will love us? At 64 years, we have not realized that nobody, there is nothing we do for our girlfriend's son to call us Papa. If we have not realized that now, when are we going to realize that? That's why we go cap in hand and they will mess us up. Whoever goes a book, goes a soup. Who goes borrowing, goes a sorrowing. And God has blessed this nation with abundant, fertile land. Massive. And we have these young people, they come around, some of them, they post them to some secondary schools and primary schools that don't have roof. You want these young people to stay there, waste away. Some of them will begging for to be rejected so that they go back to their father's house. How can Nigerian parents, after some 6 years course, some 4 years course, some 5 years course, you finish to go for NYC and you still see your son back in
there's a new story. There's a new story that says how core member mysteriously disappeared in Rivers.
Now we know Rivers for setting fire. We have people who fire crackers there. But this is the first time we're hearing of Rivers with this kind of story. We've had it some other places, but Rivers people should take note about this. And we urge the government of Rivers State, as it is, to get to the root of it. It takes 1 million men and women to build reputation. But it takes one little foolish effort to destroy it.